The KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was Stairway to Heaven. Oh, we're afraid to start the show at the mountaintop? I don't think so.
I was just going to Google that song. I knew it sounded familiar.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee you've heard it somewhere before over the years. If I promise you that's been playing at a bar or a pool hall or in a taxi, I guarantee you've come across that song before. It's Friday, and why not open a show with Stairway to Heaven? All 38 minutes of its majesty.
Yeah.
It's Friday, and I'm just going to jump right in because this annoys the daylights out of me. I just read a story about a couple from Maryland. That doesn't bother me. I know couples in Maryland. They're wonderful people. A couple from Maryland has been given the Guinness World Record for most concerts in a single year. They've attended the most concerts. And this goes just to last year, 2023. They spent about $18,000 on tickets. They saw all kinds of artists: Beyonce, Lizzo, Pitbull, Sam Smith, Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks. They are planning to do a whole lot of concerts this year. They got the Guinness World Record for most concerts in a year. Anybody want to take a guess at what that number is? Now, screw it. I'll tell you. 135, which sounds really low to me for a Guinness World Record. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I just saw a thing yesterday. More concert tickets were sold in 2023 than any year in history.
Yeah, huge year. Of course, it didn't hurt that you had some big hitters like Beyonce and Taylor Swift out on tour.
Yep.
And, the pandemic's in the rearview mirror. But I was just thinking about that number, but you said concerts. Now, there's a difference between concerts and shows because back in the day,
right,
especially when the music scene was really booming in the Twin Cities, I might go to 4 shows a week, but those weren't concerts. You're talking about big, lay down the dough, get the parking, get into the arena concerts.
I guess. I just think of it as a gig. You go to a gig, it's a gig. But maybe it is maybe there is a line of separation there. But I know for a fact, I mean, if you're talking about any musical performance in a club, from a club on up, I guarantee you, I've had a year where I've seen at least 100. Before I had a nickel to my name, I was just going to see a band every night. Yeah. Maybe for big concerts, but even with big concerts, that seems like I would think it would be closer to 200, if not more. And what this tells me is a lot of concert goers just haven't thought to call Guinness and go, hey, what's the world record for most concerts attended in a year?
I'm thinking of a couple of couples in Minnesota. I know their life revolves around going to concerts, and it's staggering how many shows they go to. We're friends on Facebook. I'm like, do you go to every show that comes through town? I think they do. And I bet they'd give this, whatever you said, 182, something like that, a run for their money.
135.
Oh, 135. I was way off. Yeah.
I mean, it's less than it's like one every. It's less than one every 3 days, or it's a little over one every 3 days, which still I just thought would be more than that. I mean, I have met over the years. There were people that used to come to multiple Black Crow shows in a year. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens. Sometimes if we played 180 shows in a year, there were fans that saw close to, if not over 100 of those. Oh, yeah. Because there's a lot of trust fund kids out there who are in college and their parents are like, yeah, honey, go ahead. What do you want to do? They just go. Right. There was one particular fan that we all knew who was from Japan, and she would come and see every show on a North American swing for 4 or 5 months. I mean, it was insane. Yeah. And it's great. You love that people come and see these many shows. But that I'll never forget, there was a group of girls that were following the band in the mid-'90s, hippie girls, awesome, just the sweethearts. And fans that come to multiple shows, a lot of bands, you end up meeting them. What they do is they meet your crew first. And because the crew vibes out who are the weirdos, who are the freaks, and who are the cool fans. Because they see them every day. They interact with them. And then eventually the crew will be like, hey, those guys in the front row every night, that group, they're cool. And then then you're like, oh, well, then bring them back. We owe them at least a beer, hell. And then you meet them, and then sometimes you end up, and they become friends because they are cool. They love your music, but they're not looking for anything other than, hey, thanks for the shows. And they're on their own tour. It's like we're just the soundtrack music to their tour. That's what a lot of the real fans. That's what I used to look at it like. I was like, well, we're doing our tour, and they're doing their tour, and we're just providing the soundtrack. And those are the people you do enjoy hanging out with because they're interesting, curious. They're just living their own lives. they're not the freaks that you end up like, having to, like you're worried about them coming into your house and stuff. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff at all. But there was a group of girls, and they had this is like in the mid-'90s. They had, like, we were on the road. Pearl Jam was on the road. Dave Matthews on the road, and like somebody else maybe. They had like a 4-page Venn diagram of everyone's year for the year, and they had mapped it all out. And they didn't take a night off for 3 straight months. If we weren't playing, they were somewhere else. And they didn't come to every one of our shows, but they came to a ton because they literally spent a summer. I don't think they took a night off. I think they had 3. I think they saw 90 shows in 90 days. I'm not making that up. I mean, like they were literally. They showed us their work, and we were like, how does this happen?
They showed you their little itinerary.
What do your parents do? And how are they so cool to let you do this? So anyway, I'm just balking at the 135. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. I think because they decided to document and go for a Guinness thing here, it'll be interesting now because this will get some press. It'll travel around the social media circuit. Some other people will come out of the woodwork. I wonder if we have any listeners out there. I know we have some listeners I've talked to over the years that would give this a run for their money, but could, like my buddy Joe that keeps all the ticket stubs. I guess he used to in a shoebox, although I have some friends now that keep them, you get the electronic ones on your phone, and they keep those as ticket souvenirs. Some places, like my daughter just bought some Pearl Jam tickets in Montana, and you get the digital ticket, but they send you a commemorative ticket in the mail just if you want the ticket. All right, give us a call, 651-989-ROCK. You think you've beat 135? I've already forgot the number. I think it was 135.
That was it.
The number of concerts in a year that you've attended. Let's hear some good concert stories. I've followed a couple of bands on a couple of different tours, and it's an experience. It's something you want to try and squeeze in somewhere in your life. Maybe I've got one good one left in me after KQ kicks me to the curb. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show at, 8:30 this morning. We will be joined by Anson Williams. Patsy Weber from Happy Days will be calling in. He's working with a group called Doors of Change, a great group doing the Lord's work, truly. And we're going to talk with Anson Williams. At 9:30, Chris Porter will be in studio. He is at Acme all weekend. He's a top-shelf comic, and I look very forward to catching up with Chris Porter, a huge music fan himself, a man that I know for a fact has been to hundreds of concerts in his life. He's kind of an obsessed music fan, and we'll discuss with him what we're discussing today, which is concerts. There's a Guinness World Record that was just established, or at least bestowed upon a couple from Maryland who made it to 135 concerts last year. And I just think that number's low. I think somebody out there has certainly done more. They just didn't have the sense to call Guinness and say, put me in the book. Candace Wheeler has been to many, 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 many concerts. What do you guess? Just guesstimate, Kansas. Most in 1 year.
Like arena shows, right?
Just big. Sure. Let's start with big shows. Concerts, not gigs at the club, but big concerts you look forward to, you wait, you get excited.
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe is 100 too low, you think?
Wow, that's a lot.
That's for you in a year, that's a ton.
Oh, a year. Sorry, I'm not even answering the question correctly. This year, probably like 30.
That's still a lot. If you're talking about big
20?
ticket shows, that's a lot, man.
I'm really bad
we're gonna be at 5 before too long.
I'm really bad at guessing things. Like when you have how many pennies are in the jar, you're not going to get the right answer from me. Okay,
fair enough. So we'll leave the gumballs and the Corvette out of this entirely. How many? Who have you seen the most? What artist have you been to the most performances by?
I've seen Stevie Nicks the most, but it's been a combination of her solo and Fleetwood Mac and such.
And that's fine. What do you think that number is?
I think 9.
That's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a concert-loving gal.
Yeah, I like to get out when I can, these ticket prices these days.
Little tough. Do you think if you went to 135 concerts in a year, do you think you'd still be that excited by the time, like, say, 106 rolls around? You're like, oh, my God, time to make the donuts again.
Yeah, right. Just the parking and the getting in there. And the hoople heads you sit next to. It sounds exhausting. I like dive bar shows, but they don't count in this poll. I see our listeners, some of the highest numbers, Mark, 27. Again, that's a lot, especially, they're not. We don't get as many as we used to. Back in the day, you just check your mailbox every day, and there'd be a whole pile of tickets in there. And so I just go to a lot of free shows. But if you're paying for these bad boys, I mean, ticket brokers have absolutely destroyed buying concert tickets. There was one recently that I really wanted to go to, and they came online. I thought, all right, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to go online when they go on sale. And I jumped on 2 minutes late. It was 10:02 a.m. 10:02 a.m. Sold out.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, in 2 minutes, sold out, really? But at 10:03 a.m., I went to the ticket broker sites, and they were full of tickets for double, triple, quadruple the price of face value. So they've got these systems in place. Unless you're Pearl Jam, they're still fighting the good fight out there.
They are. They certainly are. At Live Nation, we mentioned, they said they had their biggest year ever in 2023. Most tickets sold, most money earned. And because they have a monopoly with Ticketmaster, because that's completely antithetical to what the industry is supposed to mean. But they're getting investigated, and one of these days, you never know. Maybe they will break that bad boy up. I give Pearl Jam a lot of credit. They got so much flack for doing that, which is hilarious to me, that people were making fun of them for actually trying to make the concert-going experience better for their fans.
Right.
And, I can tell you, man, it's tough to toe that line and just try to go it on your own. I mean, it's damn near impossible. It was bad enough in the 90s. It's pretty much that way now. But thankfully, they've maintained with it. Robert Smith of The Cure last year very famously was furious about second-tier tickets. And so he said, no, he made Ticketmaster give tickets back so that he could make sure real fans were buying them and refused to do the what they call that thing that Springsteen got yelled at about, the
tiered pricing?
But there was a word for it.
Yeah,
that was
there
just
was.
so insulting.
I think it was up the keister. Was that
Pretty
it?
much,
or grab your ankles pricing?
Yeah, that was exactly what it is. Like they called it. I can't remember. It just pissed me off, the whole concept.
I want to see Springsteen up there singing "The River." The ultimate man's working song. Down paycheck to paycheck, blue collar person trying to make it, while you paid $2,500 to sit. In the second tier.
I got it. Dynamic pricing.
Isn't that a fun word? Dynamic pricing. This is going to be great. You're going to pay so much more for these tickets. I will tell you the way, I don't want to belabor the Pearl Jam thing, but since my daughter just went through it, she's like, it is a bit more work. And then I explained to her how we used to get tickets by standing outside the Met for about 4 hours, in the freezing cold, waiting to buy a ticket. But she said that the way they do it now is you have to belong to the Pearl Jam 10 Club to get tickets, and then you go on, which is a free site. You just register there, and then you can buy 2 to each one of their shows around the nation if you'd like, up to, I think, 8 tickets, 4 different shows.
Right.
And you only get those 2, and you get them at face value, and nothing goes through the ticket broker. And
pretty cool.
It seems to be working. She got tickets. Otherwise, she would have never gotten Pearl Jam tickets when they went on sale for their new tour. Dark Matter comes out in April, their new album, and the tour gets started. Yeah, but we'll see.
Candace, was Ozzy Osbourne in a band called Bedlam?
I don't know.
Tim posted in 1 year 17, which is a lot. Worst was a band with Ozzy Osbourne called Bedlam.
What the heck?
I don't know what that is. He said they started late, ended after 30 minutes. The stage and equipment were trashed by the crowd.
Oh, wow.
I can tell you the angriest I've ever been at a concert. I mean, there's how many have you been to, and then there's how many did you just hate, and how many sucked. Worst concert I ever saw. It wasn't that the band wasn't any good, but it was just so galling. I was a freshman in college, and the Romantics came and played on our campus. And, this is 4 years after What I Like About You, and they were still out there fighting a good fight, but they really hadn't done much, and they booked a gig at Western Kentucky University. Well, the gig was announced, and then 2 months later, all of a sudden, the Romantics had released this song in the interim called Talking in Your Sleep, and it went to #1 on the Billboard pop chart. It was a bigger hit than What I Like About You had ever been. MTV played the video 19 times a day. So in the 3 months from when they booked that gig to when they got to Bowling Green, Kentucky, they had become bigger than they'd ever been. And I knew a buddy on the concert committee, the Romantics were doing everything they could to get out of the gig. They're like, oh, well, hang on, we got better offers elsewhere now that we're huge. And the school's like, no, I mean, it's a contract. Forget it. Promoters, like, no chance. They showed up, and the place was packed, and, I mean, ready to roll. And they played for 60 minutes and no seconds. Because the thing said you have to play at least 60 minutes.
Wow.
And we knew that, but they go up, they play for 90 minutes. It was 60 minutes on the dot, and they had timed it. Like, the guy was talking before what turned out to be the last song and looking at his watch, knowing, okay, well, What I Like About You takes exactly 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And, I mean, they were doing it to prove a point, to piss the promoter off. But you got 500 people there going, are you serious?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
And the next night, in the same room, Jason and the Nashville Scorchers, as they were called then, played to 7 people. They played for 2 hours. Like it was the last day on earth. And I was like, all right, I'm down with this band.
Yeah, I mean, so you want to screw the promoter over. You're looking in the face of 500 people that paid and came out to watch you play in 60 minutes. Good riddance, I say. That happened once with Big Country was coming through town, and I went saw In a Big Country, and they came out, and there was some sound issues. All of a sudden, the band was up there, and their lips were moving, and they were strumming away, but you couldn't hear anything. And the lead singer, they're a Scottish band, In a Big Country. I think we all know that 80s one-hit wonder. Finally got pissed off, and they walked off after like 3 songs. But Flowers in the Desert or something like that. But
I never expected to go flowers in the desert.
But by far,
live and breathe and watch his hair is teased up big.
The most frustrated I've been, easily the most pissed off I've been, and I'm getting pissed off just thinking about it, would have been Guns N' Roses. More specifically, Axl Rose. It was about an hour and a half late at a show, and I finally told my buddies, I'm like, I'm out of here. They're like, oh, come on, they're going to come out soon. I'm like, no, F it. And that was the second time. The first time, Metallica saved the moment at Monsters of Rock and came out and played with Slash for a while, so that was a moment.
Right.
The second time it was happening, I'm like, no, F this guy, and I will never, I'll never see
like
Axl.
You haven't forgiven him for that happening.
No, I haven't. I hope he turns his ankle today. I hope it hurts bad. Maybe even a break. I don't care.
How many
Axl,
concerts have you seen in a year? You know what? I don't care. It's Friday. Let's talk about live music all damn day. Worst concert, best concert, first concert. We'll take them all. Go to the KQRS Facebook page or call the KQ Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK.
We are going to squeeze in just a little bit of talk about movies. Movie Review Friday with Mike Evans coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, February 23rd. That means it's Movie Review Friday. I think it's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Mike Evans. Welcome to Aloha Friday and Movie Review Friday. Listen closely. I have one movie review for you today. There's some good things about it and some very bad things about this movie. Opening today is Drive Away Dolls. There can be no argument that this movie is absolutely hilarious. And there can be no argument that this movie is also shocking, vulgar, rude, crude, and lewd. And I'm taking the high road. It's about 2 lesbian girls driving to Florida. However, this isn't Thelma and Louise. These 2 girls live to be outrageous. They rent a car that is actually on hold for somebody else. And the somebody else is supposed to get the car a couple of hardcore, bloodthirsty, clueless, idiot gang members. And it's what's in the trunk of the car that these gang members are after. The girls don't even know that what's in the trunk of the car is there until they go looking for a spare tire. And it's on. Written and directed by Ethan Coen of the Coen brothers. Need I say more? I'm not going to say any more other than it's really funny and really, really nasty. It's rated a hard R. In fact, if they still had X ratings, this would be rated X.
Wow.
Under 2 hours. I was almost embarrassed by the whole thing. You be the judge whether or not you're going to see it. And here's an odd nugget. How dangerous is New York City? Well, Sylvester Stallone has arranged for his 2 daughters, both in their 20s, to take extended self-defense classes by several Navy SEALs and is paying for bodyguards, is trying to get them carry permits because the girls are going to be living in New York for the next 6 months. He seems to think New York is pretty dangerous. Hey, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. I'm Mike Evans. See ya.
World rankings for the record, safest major cities. New York is 12th.
No,
not from the bottom. From the bottom, from the top.
Yeah, sure, I can cook up a couple of numbers for you too.
Yeah. But New York City, it's no more dangerous than anywhere. Trust me.
Minneapolis, say.
Yeah, I mean, very, very true. New York City, by the way, also fun fact, probably the most provincial city you'll ever go to. The people in New York City who are from New York City, all they care about is New York City. They're just like folks from a small town.
That's true.
What else do I need? This is where I'm from. I mean, it's incredible. And real New Yorkers will tell you that's completely true. Mm-hmm. And my final thought on New York. Not that I don't spend much time there, but I'll tell you this. You want to see how nice New Yorkers are? Just get on a subway and stare at the map. 5 people will. You need some help? Where are you going? You need some help? Everyone's cool there, man.
They only turn into assholes when they visit Minnesota, then?
Pretty much. That's exactly right. Well, they're not used to it. They're provincial. See? Sure. Like I said, they get here and they're like, what do you mean I can't get Indian food at 4 a.m.? Mm-hmm. The hell's wrong with you? Hey, you know what we can do right now? I'll tell you what we could. Oh, wait. First of all, real quick. Nah, screw it. We'll come back to that later. Let's take a look back.
So what's up? We've got to bring in Gorman.
What happened to Gorman?
He's right here.
Yeah, he's right here.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hey! What's up?
Oh, I'll tell you what's up. On this day in 1991, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, the men's basketball team, became the first college program to win 1,500 games. And I remember when that happened, and I remember thinking, man, that's amazing, because I used to care about college basketball. I couldn't care less now. I don't even care about my own team, my Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Remember when college basketball mattered? It was bigger than the NBA my whole childhood into my 20s. And then they started all going pro early. I mean, can you name 3 members of any college basketball team in the country right now? I can't.
still love March Madness, though. I love watching it. Fun. I know what you mean.
But it's still fun to watch the little guys beat the big guys. But in the old days, you used to know who were playing for the big guys. You could look at a team and you had the same players for 4 years or at least 3. I don't know. That's just me. I'm on my porch and I'm saying, get out of my face. But college basketball, boy, I used to think the one and dones would kill the NBA. And what it's killed is college basketball. But that's just me. What are you going to do?
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, February the 23rd. Whoo, baby. On the show today at 8:30, Anson Williams will be calling us. He was Patsy Weber on Happy Days. You probably already know that. I mean, but that's who he was. That's who he is. And it's kind of crazy that we're going to be talking with the man. He's working with a great group of people helping out homeless youth in America. It's going to be an interesting conversation. At 9:30, Chris Porter, a fantastic comic who's at Acme all weekend, will be in studio with us. At 8 o'clock, 1 hour from now, we're giving away tickets to see Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. And if you want those tickets, you're going to have to beat a damn toaster to win them. Oh, there it is. There's the stress bumps already appearing. We're beating the toaster in an hour, and that is not a euphemism, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about concerts. A couple from Maryland was just given a Guinness World Record for most concerts attended in a year, 135. Now, if we're talking major concerts, parking, Ticketmaster, arena pricing, all that is a lot of concerts. But I still think there's people who've been to more. I'm not talking about road crew or family members, but fans. I don't know. I think a lot of people just didn't think to call Guinness Book and say, hey, what's the record? And I bet someone breaks that record this year. Now that it's out there, I bet that will happen. That's just how those things go. We just heard the band Heart, Crazy on You. Heart was my first concert.
Very first.
1978.
Good one. Yeah.
1978, Rupp Arena, Lexington, Kentucky. Walter Egan opened. He had a little number called Magnet and Steel.
Wasn't he also, I want to kiss you all over?
No, that was Exile.
Oh, you're right.
Exile, who I think they were Exile, fun fact, was from Lexington, Kentucky, where I saw Walter Egan. Huh. Maybe that's what had you confused.
Perhaps.
I saw Walter Egan, and then I saw Hart, and I was really excited. And the best part about that concert to me was the fact that it wasn't planned. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Rolled into town, saw that Hart was playing, and my friend's mom went, do you boys want to go see Hart? And we were like, you might as well have said, do you want a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory?
What a cool mom.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy smokes. And there was 3 of us, and she gave us $30 and said, go have fun. And tickets were $7.50, which means we had leftover money for a Coke.
My mom took me to see Hart, too.
Really?
Yep, when I was 18. We went to Treasure Island, and then we went bowling after.
Pretty strong. Wow. I like it. The KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. We have a couple of callers. We're going to get to you in just a second. But, Tony, there's some text messages first.
We got some good texts. Said my first concert was the Monkees. Went to see it with my babysitter.
Oh, my God. That's great.
Best concert ever. Taylor Hawkins tribute in L.A. 6 hours of amazing artists. Only issue they started at 8, and I'm old.
I had the same thought. I was there too.
Wow. And then Terry Train texted, saw the Eagles this year. Vince Gill's flannel shirt was buttoned wrong. He's one of us. So, Terry.
Right on, Terry.
Yeah. You got a button off. I like that.
That's great.
Who played when the Monkees played? I mean, did they play their own instruments when they were out on tour, or was it just voice track?
No, they did.
Kind of
They did.
Yeah.
When they were full on
Must
touring.
have been awful.
They had extra guys. There were other guys up there with them. But no, Mickey could keep a straight beat. That's the main thing. Everyone else can fake it, but the drummer has to be able to play. And Mickey was always able to play. So I'm not saying they were, they'd knock your socks off, but it wasn't as bad as you might think. They were actually all capable musicians. Although when you see Monkees videos, you always see Davy Jones playing bass, and you know that he's not playing that bass. Sorry, that's not.
Fingers stay in the same spot.
He's playing that haircut is what he's playing.
Just
what a doll.
Pull up no kidding. And just cherub size, too. You just want to put him in your pocket.
Yeah.
No, look at a Monkees video and look at his hands and tell me, you don't have to know how to play bass to know those hands are not matching those notes. That's not happening.
Wow, he's ahead of his time.
He was ahead of his time, but put a tambourine in his hand, and now you got yourself a stew. All right, so we've got a couple callers that want to share some concert stories with us, Candace. Who is caller? Who you got for us?
Wade from White Bear Lake.
Wade, good morning, sir.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
All is well. What do you got for us, brother?
Well, I'm originally from Billings, Montana, and I know Zip probably knows the area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And used to party a lot in Bozeman at the Cass Hall and the Molly Brown.
Oh, yeah, the Molly.
Yeah, that goes back, huh?
Yeah, that's a...
But my first rock concert, I was about 13. I saw the Guess Who.
Solid.
That really put me over the edge. I mean, music was it. But my point is that I've seen a lot of concerts in my day. I was like Nazareth and Blackwood and Aerosmith and Hart and all those guys. But when 1981, when I graduated, our prom theme was Paradise Theater, and Styx was coming that year to Billings.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were all excited. We all wanted to go. But the tickets were $18.
Oh,
my God.
At the time, and we were paying $6, $7, or $8 a ticket for other concerts. So we were doing anything we could. We were selling everything just to get tickets for Styx. And we made it. And that was probably the biggest show I've seen at that point. But then over the years, I'm 61 now. I've probably seen as many concerts as my age or maybe a little bit more. But I can't believe the prices people are paying now.
It's kind of crazy. Wade, don't think about it. Just blink. Best concert. If you could see one concert again because it's your favorite, which one was it?
God. Well, I said I love Nazareth, but Molly Hatchet was outstanding.
All right. Fair enough.
Rush is probably my best.
All right. Right on. Wade, thanks for the call, brother. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
You got it. I saw Rush once.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I was never a card-carrying Rush fan. I didn't feel like I ever needed to see them again, though. And not in a bad way. I mean, I watched Neil Peart do that drum solo, and I literally just went, there's nothing else I ever need to see from that man. He left the whole thing on the court, as they say. I was blown away. I mean, I was kind of gobsmacked, truly. Like, okay, there's that. It was just one of those like, whoa.
And such an impressive kit. They would just have, he had his own lighting just on that insane kit. Yeah, exactly. Maybe Alex Van Halen, would have had a pretty impressive setup. I would have loved to have seen Peter Criss's Rising drum stage with the Towers of Flame and all of that. But I went with a couple of huge Rush fans, and they were from Canada, and they're just, over-the-top Rush fans, and that tainted the show for me a little bit because they had to look at me and explain every song when it started. Okay, this song, this is in the limelight. So Neil wrote this right after the band got famous. I'm like, shut the up. But like you, I saw him once. I know people that are gaga over him. And, hey, you bring Neil back, and that's a show I'll go to again.
Yeah.
But a damn good show. But
I think Rush is interesting because I'm not into Rush, at all. But I've always wanted to see them, and I missed my chance. It's like one of those bands that even if you're not into, you should probably go see or have an interest in seeing.
I didn't see Kiss until I was a dad. The first time I ever saw Kiss, I took my son, who was like 8 or 9, and two things. One, I couldn't believe, at that age, I was like, man, when I was his age, I would have killed to see Kiss, and now I'm seeing them with my kid. There was a ton of parents and children there who were dressed as members of Kiss, like multi-generational. But the other thing that was so funny, because my kids grew up seeing a lot of Black Crowes shows, I took my son to see Kiss, and the next time he was at a Crowes gig, he was like, oh, you guys suck. You're so boring.
Really?
There's not fire. There's no fire. There's no blood. There's no heels. Your singer doesn't get on a conveyor belt and ride over the arena. You guys got nothing. I was like, don't take a kid to see Kiss if you're in a jam band.
Sadly, I grew up in, no kidding, growing up in the Kiss Army, sadly, I didn't get to see them by the time I was old enough. They just weren't around South Dakota. Going to a concert was a big deal when you're in the middle of South Dakota.
Sure.
And literally dirt poor farmers. In fact, I traded my first concert tickets. The first concert I ever saw, I traded for my bike. I got into it with this. Daryl, he had the tickets, and he wanted to trade for my bike. I thought he meant my motorcycle, my dirt bike. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. God, that's a lot for the concert tickets. He said something then about my bicycle, and I went, oh, my bicycle? Done. Who needs it? And it was Loverboy and Joan Jett up in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and that one sold me. But Kiss, I didn't see them until they weren't. Remember when they went through that we're taking the makeup off, that awful time in their careers? That was the first time I saw Kiss, but then subsequently went back and saw them with the makeup and the big shows and the zip lines, and they would come down from the clouds, I think. I think they literally came down from the stratosphere on their platform, and that was just a ridiculous show. And then they'd play their 3 chords really loud and Love Gun Baby, and suck me in.
Kiss is the luckiest band I've ever seen, and by that you were talking, Steve, about your little groupies or whatever that you get backstage, or your crew gets backstage.
First of all, no, not groupies.
Well, super fans.
Fans.
Okay, that irritated me when you were talking about that because it's so. I've had to fight for every backstage experience I've ever had. That doesn't happen anymore.
Let me ask you this:
maybe I'm just weird.
Hold on, what is it you're hoping to accomplish backstage? Let's start there.
Okay,
the girl who throws the word groupie around.
I just love to get backstage, right? I love Kiss. Okay, so I tried, and I just used to always try, no matter what the concert was. Just the thrill. I don't know. Anyway, but I've gotten backstage a couple times with Kiss and gotten to meet the guys. I met Sophie Simmons, and I don't know. They're cool about their fans. If you just put some paint on your face, they'll let you backstage.
Oh my gosh. What in the world? Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Just saying, it's not as easy as it used to be.
I got you.
Yeah. The people would always, it was the big thing to get backstage. We used to have the craziest radio contest to get backstage. And the entire time I'm thinking, it's not. I thought boring as hell. I just quit going. You want to go backstage? No. Yeah, trust me, you don't want to meet them. Just watch them. They're at their very best on stage. But I was never, a young starstruck lady that had other opportunities backstage. Nobody really wanted to see me back there. Steven Tyler called me an asshole.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, because I wouldn't pour out my beer because they were on the wagon, and Joe Perry was holding a Heineken. I'm like, I'm pretty sure frickin' Heineken doesn't make a non-alcoholic beer, but whatever.
Let me tell you, they were on the wagon for real in 1990 because we were not allowed to have beer in the arena. We couldn't even have it in our dressing room.
Yeah, they were.
Kidding.
Yeah, they were. It was hardcore sobriety.
Tell that to Joe.
Well, he was sober then. I mean, I don't know what he's doing now. I'm just saying there was no ifs, ands, or buts, man. We were like, huh, really? That's a weird one. Candace, do we have another caller?
Yes, Todd from Becker.
Todd, good morning, brother.
Guys,
what do you got for us?
well, my first concert was ELO at Assembly Hall in Indiana University.
Oh, strong.
We're opening for them.
Who was opening?
All the Notes.
Oh, wow. What year was this?
Had to be 82.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
83.
That's a
the
good
hit
one.
machines, man.
Yeah.
There's like 50 songs you can sing along with.
Oh, it was crazy. But Assembly Hall, there's a balcony that goes down. We were under the balcony up to the top, and right behind us was the cold air return, sucking all of the smoke and fumes out of the arena, right past us.
Oh,
and
strong.
we got a tremendous second-hand high out of that concert.
Please tell me the General Bobby Knight was on the side of the stage, smoke hitting a bong with all the kids.
I did not see Coach Knight there that day, but I've run into that guy a few times. He's tremendous.
By the way, you can tell he's a real Hoosier when he still says Coach Knight. That's strong right there. Those are some pretty mad. My kid goes to IU right now, and he's like, "So this team used to be good?" I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah,
Assembly Hall ain't what it used to be, man. That's for sure." Hey, listen, we got a hop, Todd, but that's awesome. Thanks for the story.
Yeah, we're talking about concerts this morning, and we're not going to put any handcuffs on this story. Just concert memories. Let's just get into concert talk on a Friday because we've got guests coming up. We can't keep this going on all morning. We have concert tickets galore at 8 o'clock if you can beat that damn toaster. Even if you can't beat the toaster, we got Robert Plant and Allison Krauss. And maybe I'll tell you my Lita Ford. That's our runner-up tickets. I have a crazy Lita Ford backstage story that I might share a little bit later on. But let's hear your concert memories. 651-989-ROCK is the talk and text line. And we have something up on the KQ Facebook page. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Steve Gorman, this is the KQ Morning Show. It's Friday, February 23rd. We're just talking about concerts because concerts are cool. AC/DC, we just heard them play Back in Black. They will be on the road this summer, or spring and summer, I should say. Tour starts May 17th in Germany. It concludes August 17th. Hey, that's my birthday. In Dublin, Ireland. No North American tour dates announced yet, but maybe I need a birthday trip to Ireland to go see Akadak. I've seen AC/DC a whole lot of times because I was lucky to open for them a bunch. So, but most the first time I saw them was 1988 as a civilian, going in like a knucklehead fan and having a great time. 91, I played a bunch of shows with them, and those shows were mind-blowing for one reason. They would play after Metallica. Monsters of Rock tour in Europe. Metallica was second on the bill, but this was Black Album, just come out Metallica, Enter Sandman Metallica becoming at that very moment the biggest rock band on the planet. And they would come out and play for 90 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes and just obliterate a stadium full of fans. Like it was like a Metallica rally every night. And every night I watched it and go, who could follow that? Who in their right mind would go on stage after that? And every night the lights would go down and Angus Young would start playing Thunderstruck. And it was like, Metallica, who?
Yeah.
That's all it took. And the whole stadium's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps just talking about it. It was like I was watching it every night going, you gotta be kidding me. What a frickin' powerhouse that band is. Rock concerts are the best. or if you prefer pop concerts, well, whatever. It's your world. You win. I mean, that's the best part about music. We're all right. Mm-hmm. All of our opinions are right. But some of ours are more right. Candace, we have phone calls galore. My God, who do we want to talk to right now?
Brad from White Bear Lake.
Brad, good morning, brother.
Good morning. How's it going?
Great. What do you got for us?
So, in 1983, I think it was Easter Sunday, and I got confirmed in the morning.
Nice.
The Roman Catholic Church, Holy Rosary Church, got confirmed. And then me and my buddies all went to the Ozzy Osbourne concert at the Duluth Arena.
Perfect.
Center.
What was Brad? Sorry, what was your confirmation name? Please tell me it was Ozzy. No?
I don't even remember.
Okay, perfect.
Not so much in the church. Not so much in the church anymore. But the good part of the story is that I didn't say anything about going because I had my confirmation that morning. My dad was real big in the church, was the usher and all other stuff. So when we got there, my dad and a bunch of his buddies were outside picketing. So my friends had to sneak me in. Threw a sweatshirt over my head and had to sneak me into the freaking concert.
Oh, my. That might be the greatest concert story I've ever heard. Getting into a concert anyway. Your dad's picketing against the concert. You're confirmed.
Yep.
The Holy Roman Catholic Church, and you snuck into Ozzy. I bet had one, if pardon my language, hell of a time.
Yep. I had my Maiden T-shirt on, and I was good to go.
Eddie.
Fantastic right there. Brad, you're sitting in the winner. You're in the, what do you call it, pole position right now. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's great. All right, Candace, who's up next?
All right, let's do Ken from St. Paul.
Ken, good morning, sir.
Morning, guys. How you doing today so far?
Great. What do you got for us?
Well, my first concert was in '77, Led Zeppelin.
Oh, sure.
They had a show at the Met and at the Civic Center.
Wow.
And my best concert was Prince, Jay Giles, George Thorogood, and the Rolling Stones in the L.A. Coliseum.
Wow, yeah.
Oh, you're just bragging. That's awesome, man. I remember that 70s. I mean, I don't remember the 77 show, but I've got a buddy when we were going through a shoebox of tickets. I'm like, you have a freaking Led Zeppelin in here. And do you remember, he said that was the first concert he paid double digits for. He said it was something like $14. They were a little outraged, but it was Led Zeppelin, so you paid it. Do you remember
That's exactly right. It was about $14.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my wife saw that tour. She was 12. That was her first concert, was Zeppelin in 77. That was their final U.S. tour. She saw them in Birmingham, Alabama. And, yeah, I think...
12?
12. Well, she's the youngest of a big family, so I think 3 or 4 of her older siblings, they all, they took her along. She had plenty of backup.
Did she grasp what was happening at 12? Did she know
that was her favorite band? She grew up listening to those records her whole life. She was very, very present, and in fact was right down in front for the first half of the concert, and then eventually was like, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm getting killed down in the front pit. Hey, Ken, thanks for the call. Anybody that throws out Zeppelin, the Stones, and Prince in the same conversation is, as Zepp said, nice flex. Pretty strong right there. In fact, when Led Zeppelin played in London in 2007, my wife and I went to that show, and we were hanging out with Jimmy Page, who's a guitarist of note. And before the show, the day before the show, we had a cup of coffee with the man, and it just came up that she had seen them in 77, the last Zeppelin tour. And my band, we had toured with Jimmy, so we already knew him. So, we were kind of comfortable with him and all that. And he looked at her and he goes, Birmingham, Alabama? No. And she goes, yeah, 1977. You played there. He goes, well, now why would we have done that? She goes, I don't know, but I was really glad you did. He goes, well, I don't remember that. Wow, it's really funny. And then he immediately, and you could see the way his brain works. He was trying to think, why would we have played Birmingham in 77? It wasn't as many shows as in the past. It was mostly major markets. He knows it's a B market. And then he goes, well, there must have been an easy ingress and egress. We probably were in Atlanta. We probably landed. We were probably able to fly in and get right in and right out without too much of a pain. So it was probably just easy for us. I mean, like, whatever. He was just trying to come up with a reason. I just thought it was so funny the way his brain works. He's a very logistic-minded guy. He's a very pragmatic fella. Birmingham, really? Huh? He was just fascinated by that.
Well, there was There was a piece in Rolling Stone many decades ago about that 77 tour of Led Zeppelin, and I think that might be the one was cut short, tragically, Robert Plant's son's death. But also a pretty chaotic tour, even by Zeppelin standards. They had just really out-Zeppelined themselves at that point with all the crazy stories and the hotels, and that was the peak of 70s concert debauchery.
One of them, the guy that wore the dragon suit, may or may not have been a full-blown heroin addict at that time. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a story for another day. Candace,
Yes.
we've got more and more callers.
Yes.
Anyone you want to bring onto the show?
Hello, crap.
It's just,
Good morning.
My handwriting is
Right, a little suspect.
Well, we got a lot of things going on there.
I don't know.
I got a text or two I can read.
Well, let's do that, Tony, and then we'll get a caller after a text.
Okie doke. I was thinking my first concert was Doobie Brothers and Foghat in just a sea of weed.
Yeah,
smoke.
You could have literally floated on that cloud.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike Larson says, "Hi, you wonderful group that makes up my Wake Me Up team. First concert." Grand Forks, North Dakota, 3 Dog Night with Styx backup.
Wow.
Oh.
One of my best in the day. We arrived in Oslo, Norway, grabbed a cab to see the Stones. Another was Tom Petty with Pearl Jam opening. Floor seats at the X in St. Paul. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Wow. The Stones in Norway is not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. I was at that Pearl Jam opening up for Tom Petty's show. Pretty cool. Good stuff. Evander came out later and never mind. Moving along. I forget the song. It's almost in my head, but I'm not singing it.
He did that one really great song. Candace?
Yeah,
All right.
that one Petty song.
Bill from Maple Grove.
Bill, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
First concert was Foghat, St. Paul Civic Center.
Okay.
Best concert was the S Festival in 1983.
Oh, now you're bragging.
I am, and I got my ticket stubs to prove it.
I was in a small town in Kentucky watching footage of that, just dying. I was like, oh my God, why can't I be at shows like that in my life?
Right. So there were 7 of us. I was in the Marine Corps. We were stationed in Yuma, Arizona, jumped in 2 cars, drove to San Diego. Somebody knew somebody on Mission Beach. We hung out and drank way too many beers, and then we drove up to San Bernardino. And I'm not sure the crowd numbers, but probably 100,000.
Huge, yeah.
And it was hot. This was May 1983, and we got there, and just massive people. They had showers in the parking lot. It was so hot. And we got in. We were literally at the top. It was in the mountains in San Bernardino. We were way at the back of the venue. Giant TV screens everywhere. Quiet Riot opened that day, and they'd just come out. So they were fairly new. There was Triumph, Judas Priest. Let's see who else that day. Of course, Ozzy Osbourne had just cut his hair.
Wow.
So he was in the middle of the show, and we walked, literally, a couple buddies of mine, from the back of the venue all the way up to the front row through a sea of people just to see Ozzy in his short hair.
Yeah, didn't they frost his tips or something like that?
I don't know, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then Van Halen closed the show that day.
Yeah, very, very famously.
And when it got dark, so this is an all-day thing, and they had like an alternative day, and then this was the rock day. But when it got dark in the mountains, they had flown some helicopters over with "I Want My MTV," and that's all you saw because the helicopters were dark.
Yep.
It was just a great show, great day, best show I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's tough to beat. Bill, thank you for the call, brother. That's incredible. Van Halen very famously went on stage. Dave could barely stand. He was just blotto drunk. Listen to this lineup. The day that we just heard about, this was the lineup. Quiet Riot, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, Judas Priest, Triumph, Scorpions, Van Halen.
Oh, my God. I don't think I would have made it to the end of that show. Yeah.
No kidding. And then the New Wave day, Divinals, In Excess, Wall of Voodoo, Oingo Boingo, The Beat, Flock of Seagulls, Stray Cats, Men at Work, The Clash.
Oh, man. I was so into Oingo Boingo for a while.
I went back and watched a lot of this on YouTube just in the last, I want to say this year even. In Excess, by the way, stole the New Wave day. That was before forgetting the album's name, before they went new sensation crazy.
Yeah, they weren't grooving yet. They were still rocking in 83.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yep.
Michael
and
Hutchins
then,
was
by the way, the Rock.
crazy.
So there was New Wave Day, then Metal Day, Rock Day, Monday, May 30th. That was Memorial Day. Los Lobos, who, for the record, as good a live band as you could ever see.
Yes.
Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul. Quarter Flash with that saxophone.
Harden My Heart.
Harden My Heart.
Berlin, Missing Persons,
wow.
U2, The Pretenders. Here's your wild card, Joe Walsh in that lineup. No, but then Stevie Nicks. Oh, and then David Bowie to close it out.
Wow.
I mean,
I know.
What in the world?
I was making hay out in the middle of South Dakota. My God. Going back probably the furthest for us here on the KQ Facebook post, by the way, talking concerts this morning. 99-cent concert. June.
Wow.
1971. Hollywood Bowl. Who was playing?
June of 71?
You're probably not going to get it. Canned Heat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Also, War. Yeah. All right. War, also there.
Oh, man, War. The Eric Burden and War stuff. Well, War is always great, but the Eric Burden and War stuff was great. Real quick here, in case you're wondering.
That was Michelle, by the way. I don't know if I gave Michelle credit. Sorry about that.
Quite
Steve?
all right. Back at the US Festival 83, the reported attendance was 670,000 people. Van Halen was paid $1.5 million to play that show. That was a record for a single gig at the time. That was Mick Jones' last ever gig with The Clash. He was fired right after that show.
I know. Fired. That still blows my mind to this day that he was canned from that band. But I was at the Van Halen show on the 1984 tour. It was in 1985, the summer of, in Rapid City, South Dakota, when Diamond Dave asked for a joint on stage. Clearly, it was wafting up from the front of the stage, and there must have been about 30 joints and one-hitters and bowls thrown up on stage, and he grabbed one and did the longest hit I've still ever seen to this day. It was a Jim Morrison hit.
Yeah.
He smoked an entire joint and then looked up into the lights and blew a fountain of smoke that went to the rafters, and the next day Van Halen was banned from playing in South Dakota for 3 years.
Well,
until they went out on their next tour or whatever with Sammy. And
I was
then
going to say
it was about 4 years, and they're like, Dave Lee Ross not with you. Come on back.
Would have been great if when they'd fired him, they go, what happened? And Eddie goes, well, we were in South Dakota and Dave took a hit of his joint. And we were like, we can't play with this guy anymore. Candace, who else we got on the horn right now?
We're going to take a break from calls.
Okay, we can do that.
That sounded like my mom. Like, you know what, Brian? We're going to take a break from calls for a while.
Take a breather.
You're getting overstimulated. I don't like that. We're just going to take a little break.
We'll have some more later on.
Okay, great. That sounds like a plan. I like it when a good plan comes together.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
The festival things, man. I don't go to festivals very often. Like, I don't like being out in huge crowds. And I mean, I was always that way. Like, I loved going to a concert, but the first time I went to like a festival to check it out, like 3 or 4 bands in, I was just like, okay, I don't know, man. There's just something about. I just feel like there's always a chance. It must be because of probably from an after-school special I saw in the 70s where some kid got dosed at a concert. But I just always think with every passing minute, you're more likely to have something go bad.
Oh, yeah.
You got 70,000 people in a field. I just can't imagine I'm going to get out of there unscathed somehow.
The number of friends we've lost, how we've lost them, the times I've passed out. There's a whole festival show that we could do just at hijinks and things that have gone awry at festivals. My daughter went to the Electric Forest Festival up in Michigan there and Deal, and God knows what they were doing. But when I got my fold-out lawn chair back and opened it up for the 4th of July, I did notice a pipe in the little cup holder. I was like, what's this? And she insulted me by going, oh, my God, that must be my friends. I'm like, Taylor, what the hell? But you know what they did? They put on these long poles, so they'd wear them around their midsection. The pole would go way up in the air, and then they put whatever little stuffed animal they wanted on it. So you could always find your friends at the festival. Oh, there's the Tigger. One. Yeah, that's Jay-Z over there. We better go collect her. Oh, we got a pole down. All right, festivals. We're talking about that this morning. We're going to get along to the game show here. It's time to beat the toaster. Can we split for the game show now? Is that cool?
Yes.
I think it's time to do it.
All right. Mom said yes. So here we go. On the KQ92 talk and text line, callers 9 and 2, 651-989-ROCK. Yeah, it's beat the toaster. Hope you had your Wheaties this morning. Tickets to Robert Plant and Allison Krauss for the winner. They're performing at the Mystic Lake Amphitheater on Friday, June 7th. Thank you to Mystic Lake Casino. Our runner-up today, the one and only Lita Ford, Saturday at the Medina Entertainment Center. Going to blow the roof off the place. Thank you, Medina. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, February the 23rd. In just a few moments, we're going to play a game the way we like to do it around here. It's our favorite game, Beat the Toaster. We're giving away Robert Plant and Allison Krauss tickets. They're playing the Mystic Amphitheater Friday, June 7th. Right before we get to that, though, we have been talking throughout the day about concert experiences. First concert, worst concert, best concert, whatever you got. And the concert experience for the artist, can largely be determined whether it's a good day or a bad day by how well the promoter reads the fine print on your rider. The artists always have a list of things they need backstage, requirements. And every now and again, somebody leaks an artist rider and people all freak out about it. This isn't a musician, but the comedian Kevin Hart, somebody leaked his rider. Right. And Kevin Hart has one request, which you might say at first, like, oh, come on. But literally, I'll tell you my answer before I tell you what it is. Oh, I'd do that every day of my life if I could. And here it is. Kevin Hart requires a police escort to and from the venue. The quote is, under no circumstances are vehicles to be allowed to encounter delays of any kind due to traffic. Man, if you could flex it, go for it. Everywhere, on his way to the venue from the hotel and back, police escort or I don't appear.
Wow.
I like
control that.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, when you go see a band in a stadium, if they blast out, police escort's not unusual for like stadium acts. It's not like Taylor Swift just gets in traffic. The Rolling Stones have a fleet of cops surrounding their fleet of vehicles when they leave a stadium. A lot of artists do. But Kevin Hart, man, that's a strong one.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It does make sense. Why not?
I was expecting something like picking all the brown M&Ms out of the bowl or something crazy like that.
A baby chinchilla to pet.
Very famously, you're referencing Van Halen. Always said there cannot be brown M&Ms. And David Lee Roth loves to say that was always his idea. And the thinking was it was a test to see that the promoter had actually read the fine print of all of the, requirements they needed for light and sounds. That's such nonsense. That was not his idea. He was just, the one thing we asked for in our rider back in the day that was at all unusual. In 1992, on the Black Crowes rider, we asked for 1 full ounce of high-quality marijuana.
Wow.
Right. And it was really just to see who'd do it, because that was not easy to get in 1992. And more often than not, it was not delivered, and we didn't care. Mm-hmm. But every now and again, there'd be some young promoter rep who'd be like, hey, guys, here you go. And he'd be like, wow, nice effort, man.
Why not ask?
The main things that we noticed early on, and this is what a lot of bands go through, you're like, how about this? How about some fresh tube socks? Just give us fresh socks. Always, you just never know when you're going to need a pair of socks. There's always a pack of smokes on there for the guys that smoked, But, yeah, the tube socks was the one, like, somebody suggested it, and we're all like, no, we don't need that. And then finally it was like, well, let's try it. And all of a sudden it's like, can't live without the tube socks, man.
That's great. Do you have a color preference?
Just clean. All right. Just clean and brand new. And then when I leave them behind a hotel, I won't be mad. Just a fresh supply of socks at all times.
Something to autograph.
Yeah. Paul McCartney played years ago in Memphis. My buddy was the promoter, and she said, man, I had to put down special flooring he came in a car, and everywhere his feet touched, like through the hallway, all the way to the stage, on the stage was a special spongy, like, stuff you roll out, very specific candles, temperature had to be just so, blah, blah, blah. And he was in the arena for just, for maybe 30 minutes before the show, did some, talked to some local dignitaries. And then, found out years later, like, he has no idea that crap's happening. It's like Paul McCartney walks into a room and goes, "Oh, I like this smell," and right away someone in his camp goes, "Find out what those candles are. Get him those candles every day." And then he's like, "Well, this spongy floor kind of feels good on my feet," and they're like, "Find out what this floor is. Get it everywhere he goes." And at some point, he just thinks, "Wow, the whole world is spongy and smells good." And he doesn't give a rat's ass. That guy literally just to this day, he's like, he'd be if Paul McCartney, if he stopped selling tickets, he'd literally go busk at a subway station. It's just what the guy does. Robert Plant is kind of the same way. He and Alison Krauss playing the Mystic Amphitheater June 7th. Oh, it's going to be a hell of a show. We've got tickets to give away right now. We've got 2 callers ready to play. And Tony, I'm so excited to say they're going to be playing this.
Yep, let's go. Let's play.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Toast.
Toast. Toast.
I would like toast.
Toast.
Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you wouldn't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
If you got the goods, you can beat the toaster. Here's what we do. We pop a slice of bread into the toaster right here in the studio, and we're going to give you a category. Then you name as many things that pop into your pretty little head as possible in 15 seconds before the toast pops. 2 rounds each. And win, win, win.
I like it. Let's see what your pretty little heads have. Candace, who's contestant number 1?
John from Colfax, Wisconsin.
John, good morning, sir.
Morning.
How's your day so far, brother?
Good. Uneventful. Everything's going well.
All right, glad to hear it. So let's play ourselves a game here. Robert Plant and Alison Krauss tickets are on the table. Are you ready to beat the toaster?
I guess I have to be, yes.
Well, you certainly got to give it the old college try, brother. Good luck. Tony, take it away.
All right, but friend, here's what's happening. I'm kind of in a mood today. I fear I've been too easy on you, my dear listeners.
Oh, my God.
So I'm going to start out. First round is going to be easy.
No.
A nice little warm-up to stretch your mental acuity. And then the second round, I think we're gonna get a little bizarre. So here's your first one. This should be easier. Tap into Robert Plant. Now, not Zeppelin. Just name kinds of plants. Go.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon.
Toast. Toast.
Flowers, grass.
Hold on, John. I got to cut you off. Sorry,
Okay.
I couldn't hear him.
Okay, was that a little loud there?
It just
Okay.
went crazy. It was the intro. Sorry, John. We're going to reset the clock. I guess you have a couple extra seconds to think.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
We had
Let's
an
make
audio
him-
difficulty. All right, so Tony, set it up again.
Let's go. Okay, just name kinds of plants. Go.
Grass, corn, flowers, trees, vegetables. Running into a wall here.
Specify.
That's it. What do you
all
think?
right.
What do you think on vegetables? Is that a little vague?
Well, nah, I don't know. I mean, it's
Plant.
plant. They're plants.
All right.
They're not. They're not. We got grass, corn, flowers, trees. We got 5.
All right.
We got a solid 5. John, well played. First round is always a bit of a wake up call. I know you'll come back sharper than ever for round 2. Right now, we're going to go to contestant number 2. So sit tight, John. Who is contestant number 2, Candace?
Brian from Northfield.
Brian, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Are you a Robert Plant and/or Alison Krauss fan?
Both. Love them both.
You've come to the right place, my man. Good luck to you. Round 1 of Beat the Toaster is here. Tony, take it away.
All right, this is a little easier. You walk down the aisle of a grocery store. What kinds of canned soup do you see? Go.
Campbell, Hormel, Mrs. Drass, store-bought, store brand, off-brand, Chunky.
What was that?
Last one was chunky, but it was after the toast had popped.
Yeah, you could have gone just with flavors, right? Was I misunderstanding the question?
You did good. You got 4, I believe.
Yeah, got 4. We got 4. I went.
That's not good enough.
Oh no, hey man, it's round 1.
Yeah.
That's why we do it twice.
Right.
Tony, you are in a mood today.
Uh-huh.
Wow, he's got like a little flame shooting out of his ears. All right,
there's a good prize at stake.
There is a big prize at stake. All right, it's time for round 2. John, you've had a minute to get it together to recover from that hectic round 1. Good luck, sir. Tony, let's do it.
All right, I want to go off the rails a little bit to challenge your explosive brain power. Okay, so you ingest some ayahuasca, shoot heroin, chew up some mushrooms. Now, you don't overdose, but you have visions. What do you see? Go ahead.
Oh, rainbows, white elephants, black dogs, whirling dervish. Yeah. Pink cat.
Whirling dervish is a winner.
I like the last one. He just pops in, cat.
White elephants, black dogs. Got Zeppelin references all galore. I'm a big fan of the whirling dervish. Well done. Okay, that's another 4. You've got a total of 9, John. So well played. We'll just see what happens. Brian's got to come up with, I think, 5 in order to tie you in round 2. So let's do it. Brian, good luck to you, sir. Round 2, usually a little bit of a tougher challenge, so I wish you the best.
All right, good luck on this one. You're going to create new creatures. Think of like a parrot/dentist. You're going to create new creatures with the head of an animal and the body of someone's occupation. Go.
Wow.
Dog doctor, cat nurse, mouse carpenter, elephant, gas station attendant, eagle, clerk.
Oh, man, so close. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Pretty damn good.
He did great.
Man, we needed that eagle to finish. I think the bell got you, though.
I didn't beat that timer. I thought I did with that one.
What was it, the eagle? No, we didn't hear it because of the ding. Well, eagle on the what?
Eagle clerk.
Oh, eagle
well,
clerk.
If tie goes to the runner. So
All right,
I think what we have here is you got 5 in that round. Dog doctor, cat nurse, mouse carpenter, elephant gas station attendant, and the eagle clerk.
All right,
pulling them
like
out
a
right
children's
there.
book, doesn't it?
Sweet.
It does. Man.
Rally.
That's fantastic. All right, so John and Brian, you both came up with 9. That means we got to go to overtime, which means Tony has got a question for you both. John will ask you to answer first, and then we'll get Brian's answer.
All right. I'm out of breath. Back in 1986, Steve Jobs bought Pixar. In 2006, Disney bought it for $7.6 billion.
Ooh.
How much did Steve Jobs pay for it back in 1986?
First, and then we'll get Brian. $4.5 million.
4.5 million. John, turn that radio down, but do us a favor, brother. 4.5 million is what John says.
I got it shut right off. 4.5 million.
Okay, or I guess Brian has it. Someone's got a radio up. Turn that bad boy off. All right, you said 4.5 million, John. We heard you. Brian, what's your guess?
I'll go with 5 million.
Gonna Price is Right him on 5 mil. Where are we at?
This is the first time this has happened. It's exactly $5 million.
Wow! Holy smokes,
Jeez.
Brian.
Boom!
Called a shot. He just hit the ball real far.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Brian, you've won tickets. Robert Plant, Allison Krauss, June 7th. Congratulations, brother. John, we're not letting you leave empty-handed. We've got tickets as a runner-up prize to Lita Ford tomorrow night at the Medina Entertainment Center. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Got it.
Steve.
Speaking of Pixar, I just remembered. So I got a buddy, my old neighbor when we lived in Los Angeles. He works for the Cheesecake Factory now, like a marketing director. But he was with Pixar for years before that. And their campus, the Pixar campus, was like up in Oakland, East Bay, San Francisco area. Mm-hmm. And I was on tour one day and I had a day off and he invited me over. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'll go check that out. This is like in 2007 or 8. And they were working on new Pixar films. And it's like they call it a campus. But, those tech companies, it's just obscenely crazy how much money they have to throw around. Mm-hmm. And like I walk into it, it's their office building, their version of an office building, which looks like, I can't even describe, like just picture like the coolest Apple store you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And then imagine like a whole college campus of those kind of buildings. But like I walk into the building where these guys are literally like on computers. They have these Apple screens, desktop computers that are like 7 feet by 12 feet of high def screens to get everything right. There's a sushi chef like at every floor. It was just like they just were printing money, Apple and Pixar back at that time. And I was walking around and I'm like, this is what I couldn't create a thing if I worked here.
I know. I
Benefits
wouldn't get
are
a damn thing done. Yeah.
I would just get on one of those cool bicycles you provided me with to drive around to clear my head.
I'll be at the martini bar all day.
Literally, it was like that. And then he called my buddy Donald. Then he called me one day and said, "Hey, I'm taking a new job. I'm leaving Pixar. I'm going to the Cheesecake Factory." And I was like, "Are you out of your mind?"
What?
He said it was a huge opportunity. I don't know. But I guess he likes giant menus.
I guess so. Maybe he was up in the corporate structure of the Cheesecake Factory. I don't know. Or
he's not wearing an apron. Put it that way.
I mean, although I would think working at the Cheesecake Factory, you don't get free cheesecake, but you do, if you know what I mean.
Oh well, sure. Yeah, ain't no question about that. Boy, Tony, that was quite a. First of all, you asked one guy what he sees while hallucinating, and then you asked another guy put a animal head on the body of someone and tell me their job.
He handled that amazingly well.
Yeah, he really did. He figured it out right away and then just ran with it.
Sure.
Yeah, no, he dove right in. That was, of all the beat the toasters we've had, that's a standalone. Mm-hmm. And then he hit the number right in the head. So wait a minute, you said Steve Jobs bought Pixar for $5 million and then sold it for $7 billion,
right?
Like 10 years later, or 15 years.
$7.6 billion.
Don't forget the 0.6. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. Good Lord. Yeah, it's good to be Jobs, I guess. That's the black turtleneck. I guess that made all the difference.
I mean, that was like the 2000s. Everyone was cashing in. The YouTube guys, I saw their anniversary of YouTube came along here sometime in the last couple of weeks, and I was just looking at it. Some kid wandered out to a zoo, took a video of himself at the zoo, and they decided to, let's throw it up on something and call it YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
They were tech kids, out of college. They slapped that thing together and sold it for billions of dollars to Google.
Yeah, not bad. YouTube and Instagram, both just, hey, I got this idea.
Mark Cuban, he came up with just a website, basically a website, sold it for $3 billion before he then went off to be Mark Cuban and buy the Mavericks and all that stuff. But then that website went teed up. Didn't even end up making it, and he sold it for $3 billion. Companies just had billions to throw away back in the tech days.
Well, he also had a big hand in what we now would call streaming, because one of his early big money winners, Cuban went to Indiana. He was a Hoosier fan. Bobby Knight era basketball obsessive guy, graduates, moves to Texas, and then he's like, man, I wish I could listen to the games live on the radio, but you couldn't then. And so one of the first things he and some guys figured out was, how do you get an Indiana radio broadcast into my stereo in Texas? That's what they were working on.
Yeah.
And it was all because he just wanted to stream live sports. I mean, think about how it's not that long ago that someone had to sit there and go, man, I would give anything to hear this broadcast. Right. And then he had to spend millions of dollars to invent a way to do that. I mean, that's 30 years ago, not even.
When I was growing up, a big Pittsburgh Steeler fan, relocated to the middle of South Dakota with not 3 television stations or even 4. We only had ABC and NBC. There was no CBS. There was no Walter Cronkite when I was growing up. I mean, I heard about him, but we never got to watch it and all that stuff on there. But they would tape them, eventually, like in the 80s, tape them on VHS tapes, the Pittsburgh Steeler games, my aunt, and would mail them to me. And I would get them 8 days after the game.
Wow.
And all I had to do was avoid the newspaper, and morning radio a little bit back in the day, and then I would get the games on VHS. But
I was listening
a long time ago.
I heard Rob Reiner on a podcast the other day, just talking about his many million things he's done in his career. What's the podcast? Oh, Dak Shepard's podcast. That's what it was. Yeah. So Rob Reiner's talking about, the movie Stand By Me. Harry Met Sally. I mean, there's so many things, A Few Good Men. The more they start talking, you're like, holy crap. I mean, the guy's literally, and then Castle Rock Entertainment, his production house, well, they did Seinfeld. I mean, the guy's just everything he's touched for 40 years. And now they're shooting a Spinal Tap sequel for the record.
Can't wait.
Finally got a story they all both thought was worthy of a sequel. But he was telling the story of Spinal Tap. They couldn't get it financed for years. They were trying to make this thing forever. They had shot 20 minutes of it, and he would take 20 minutes of that film and show it to studios, and they're like, no, I don't get it. Like, nobody could see it. And the funniest thing he said was the cinematographer that shot Spinal Tap had been the guy who shot a bunch of rock films. He was a guy who came from the world of rock music documentaries and concert films. And that guy, midway through the shoot of the film, was like, Rob, I mean, I don't get, this is supposed to be funny. This is exactly like everything else I've ever shot.
It's too real.
He couldn't see, because he was really like, I mean, what, really? You think this is funny? And Rob was like, yeah, it's a little left to center, more, little off kilter more than you realize probably.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so funny because you talk about rock movies and what we've spent a lot of the show this morning already talking about concert experiences as a fan and what's your first, what's your worst, what's your best. But for musicians, the world of touring and going through it, it's not nearly as exciting as you think it's going to be. It is at first, of course, but every musician will tell you at some point you realize, well, wait, this is my job. I mean, it's a dream job, but eventually the dream is not part of it. It's just, I got to do this. Mm-hmm. And you have to be better every year or the people just say, okay, well, they've peaked. I'm done. I mean, it's a real thing. It becomes that for a lot of artists anyway. I can't tell you how many artists will talk. You talk about Spinal Tap, and the reason it's funny, but the reason it's funny to musicians is because, embarrassingly enough, it's so relatable. It is so dead on the money. Band arguments over the cut of ham on the rider. You have no idea how many things blow up like that. Right. When you're on tour for a year straight, the meat in the dressing room and the next single, the fight is the same. It shouldn't be this song. It should be that song. It should be this ham, not that ham. It's the same level of intensity to the fight.
I can't fold it.
Yeah.
No, right. Don't even look at it. But that, and that was a Jeff Beck play all the way, when he was, and Jeff Beck even talked about that. He had a guitar that he wouldn't let people look at. But, back in the day, I didn't know that about rock stars. There were some stories in Rolling Stones that would lift the veil a little bit, but we didn't have behind the music. And I remember years later watching behind the musics of like Judas Priest or whomever and thinking to myself, that's Spinal Tap. That was definitely in Spinal Tap. Makes me love it even more.
Sure.
We have a hit musician to talk to this morning. A big hit musician interview coming up. Did you guys know that Anson Williams had a top Billboard at 93? It scored on top 100 on the Billboard charts in 1977. Deeply. You guys remember that one? No, me either. I was just looking up Potsy facts. And,
Potsy facts.
Potsy facts. There's a whole bunch of Potsy facts. Anson Williams is our guest here before about 8:30. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, February the 23rd. A day that we've been having fun so far, talking a lot about rock concerts. First concert you saw, best concert you saw, craziest experiences, and all that. I'm going to bring this all to a screeching halt right now and tell you I will always remember this day, as this is the day I learned a new species of snake has been discovered. And it's the largest snake on Earth, and they just now found it.
Yeah.
This is not the news I need ever. Here's what's going on. Down in the Amazon, Will Smith, the actor, has a documentary film crew in Ecuador making a documentary about something, some such. Who knows? Here's the point. They came across a snake, and they were like, damn, that thing's big. It looks like an anaconda, but it doesn't quite look like the Brazilian green anaconda. It looks like they discover it's a new species of anaconda, previously unacknowledged. The one they found is 26 feet long, and they said it has, quote, a human-sized head.
Oh, how weird.
Oh, man.
Sick.
I'm not cool with this at all. Hey now, they said that this anaconda, one of the Wairani, that's a group of that's a tribe out in the rainforest that don't basically live in the modern world. A gentleman was taken by one of these giant anacondas and was being dragged into the water before an entire crew of people jumped on, and it took all of them to free him from this snake. They said the bite marks on this guy's body from its fangs, they recognized the jaws are larger than any snake that's ever been captured, and they put this particular snake at about 26 feet long.
Good.
Oh my God, this thing could eat a cow. It's first of all, I'm watching a video of a guy snorkeling along with it. He's like 1 foot away from this insanely huge snake. Think about the big pythons. I was watching a video last night. I don't know why, because there's something wrong with me. Down in the Amazon, when you find one of these massive snakes, just a regular anaconda with it just eaten something, and it's huge. They show all these anacondas with what must be like a family of 4 in there. They have contests to guess what's in there, and they do cut it open to find out. It's pretty macabre stuff, but that's a pastime down there, and now they just found this thing the size. Yeah, it's insane. First of all, their heads, a regular size anaconda can stretch its head around a large animal like a deer or maybe a small cow or, Candace, a goat. Imagine what this thing with a human-sized head can stretch its mouth around. Probably. This thing literally would put Gigi on a cracker.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It wouldn't. It would be like us looking at a crumb on the living room table. Do I eat the crumb or do I just blow it? It might just blast past Gigi and head straight for Lulu. I don't know.
How dare you. I similarly have made the mistake of watching that video, and I am literally nauseous.
You'll be haunted.
That turns my stomach.
By the way, is this just as disturbing? Will Smith's Planet Animal crew has also found a dolphin that has thumbs. Now, one of my fun little things I like to do with pets, especially Maria's cats all the time, when they're meowing for something and they can't get it, I'm like, well, it sucks you don't have thumbs. I have thumbs. That's why I'm much higher in the food chain. You don't have thumbs, and that's why you're a cat begging for your life.
Exactly.
But they've now found a species of dolphin that has, as if they weren't smart enough already. So long and thanks for all the fish.
Well, that just shows you they're so smart. They're recognizing we could get out of this tank if I could just jimmy that little lock right there. I just need a thumb.
Yeah, forget the Planet of the Apes taking over. The dolphins are going to take over, man.
I tell you what,
it's Will Smith.
Well, one good thing about having Will Smith on hand, if that anaconda gets a hold of you, he'll just slap it right across the face.
Bitch slap that.
He's got a bitch slap ready to go.
Keep my wife out your mouth. Not my wife's name, but just keep my wife out your mouth.
No, let me tell you, he wouldn't. If he saw that giant anaconda take his wife, he'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible."
Yep.
Hey, that's too bad.
Cheapest divorce I ever got.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I guess you can't keep cheating on me with other guys and talking about it publicly.
Guess what's in that anaconda's belly?
I kid. Relationship difficulties. Oh, by the way, real quick, again, just switching gears just grinding gears of content right now. 2 women up in the Iron Range are accused of kidnapping a man, tying him up with duct tape, and holding him captive at a Hibbing home for 3 days.
Crazy.
Okay. Quick, help me out here. Iron Range. That's just up north.
Yeah.
Is it a general or a very specific belt of land we're talking about?
Very specific, and you guys can speak to it too. I dated an Iron Range lady for 2 years, and I have some very good friends from the Iron Range. That's a different breed of animal up there. Okay. Those are the big anacondas up there, but they are. They're Minnesotans through and through. But we're talking about, this is where a lot of the iron and what's that stuff called? Starts with an M or whatever that they still. Taconite, that's right. I was way off, wasn't it? That they still mine up there. But that's, there's some hardy folks, a lot of Italian heritage up there. And these women, as soon as you say Iron Range women, I bristle a little bit, both in an excited manner and I get a little nervous. I start looking over my shoulder.
I see headlines regularly that you guys probably don't notice because you've seen her life, but I see things all the time like Iron Range man, Iron Range women. And I'm like, what is going on up in the Iron Range?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Florida man. Is what that's what it's become in my mind, as a newbie. But this is a story. 2 women asked the guy to come over. They just asked him, hey, come over to the house. I'm not sure if they knew him or not. He was, as I said, duct taped to a chair. It's a kind of a crazy story. They said, hey, can you come over? They told him, one of the women told this man she was pregnant and that she had some information about the man's father. So I guess they knew him a little bit. Right. Somehow they got him to enter the house, and with reasons that are still not clear, just held him for 3 days against his will. They had a taser. They subdued him with a taser. He ends up in a chair, duct taped, and they're threatening to kill him. It just sounds like some crazy's gone awry. But he broke out. He escaped, got to a gas station. Police were called. These women are in custody. We'll update you as we go along. They did tape a phone to the wall to record him and played heavy metal at a high volume while preaching and chanting Holy Scripture.
Yeah. He also had his upper body and arms wrapped in saran wrap, fully immobilizing him.
Right. Woo! Okay, so anyways, for everyone wondering if there were drugs involved, I think we've answered that question. Yeah, in just a few minutes, we're going to be speaking with Anson Williams, who we all originally met as Patsy Weber on the show Happy Days at a time when there were very few options for TV and there were no VCRs, and if you wanted to see it, you had to watch it. Dozens of millions of people were watching this guy on a weekly basis, and I was one of them. And now joining us on the KQ Morning Show is Anson Williams. Anson, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Nice to be on the show.
It's great to have you. I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way for all of us here on the show. Unquantifiably impactful part of our childhood was watching you weekly on Happy Days. And I just have to start by saying, could you have ever in a million years imagined the comet ride you were getting on when you were first handed the part of Patsy Weber?
It's just amazing. No, I never would have guessed that it would happen. But we were very lucky because, it's our 50th anniversary this year.
Right.
50 years since it aired. And all of us are still best friends. Henry, Don, myself, and Ron. And because Gary Marshall, early on, he sat us down and he inspired us to learn everything we could about the business. He said, use Paramount Studios as a college. You got to wear many hats to last in this business. Mm-hmm. So it was just an incredible educational time, and also, just creating great friendships too. We talk every other day. We have an open text line. We've been good friends for 50 years.
I got to say, I when you said all these years later, we're still, I just assumed you were going to say we're all still working. We have great careers. When you said you're all great friends, that was a shock, and what a great thing that is. My God, of course you guys are all still working, but I guess Gary Marshall also understood there was some real honest chemistry right away putting you guys together. He had to feel pretty good about who he had hired.
Oh yeah, there was an it factor to the chemistry, and what really made it work was when we changed it to a 3-camera show, live audience.
Right,
it really helped with the chemistry, but he put together a softball team. Most of us were ex-athletes, and he felt that if you're a team player, you're going to have the back. You're going to have the back of your team. And he felt that would come to the set. That we'd always be there for each other. It stops ego and all that kind of stuff. Well, this softball team, we were able to play in every major state in the United States. These pre-games, with charity games. We went all over the world. With USO tours, playing ball against the Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force.
That's awesome.
Those are the experiences we remember.
Of course.
Playing, softball by the China Sea, in Okinawa, and he just created such a special bond with us as a team, and that had a tremendous effect on the set too.
Oh, sure it did. That's incredible. Anson, I'm sure we imagine that you guys look back and just think about the episodes like we do, but that's probably the last thing you actually think about because it was a 24/7 experience for you. Last thing, and then we'll move on to what you're doing now because this is pretty amazing too. How long was it from, you said the second season was really when it took off. Was there a moment you look back on and you recognized, oh, this has shifted and now everybody on the planet knows who I am?
Yeah. Well, when it first started, it was filmed like a movie,
right?
No live audience or anything, and we were a hit for a while, kind of a hit, And then it started going downhill, actually. And that's when Gary Marshall decided to convince the network to change the whole format into a sitcom in front of a live audience. That was like 1.5 years into it. That was the year we exploded. 60 million people watching a week, 63 million people watching a week.
60?
It was just astonishing. So actually, a year and a half in is when we really became the number one show in the world.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, I had a lunchbox, so I'm sure Gary Marshall got a quarter out of that one at least. We're talking with Anson Williams on the KQ Morning Show right now. Well, and I do want to say for anyone that is unaware, as you mentioned, 50 years later, you guys are all still friends. You guys all have careers. You have gone on to direct countless episodes of TV on a number of different shows. You're still very much involved in the industry, but you're also working with the Doors of Change, which is an organization that focuses on helping the over 4 million homeless children across the United States. So first things first, that's obviously a tremendous group to be a part of. But tell us about the event this summer you're doing, the concert itself.
Well, every year they have a big fundraiser, and this is going to be fantastic. It's July 27th in San Diego. And it stars Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yes.
Who are amazing. Three-time Grammy winners and all that.
Sure.
And that's July 27th. And Doors of Change, it's remarkable. It's been around for 22 years. This wonderful man by the name of Jeffrey Sitkoff created it. And they take kids off the streets, but more than just off the streets, they clothe them and feed them, but they actually get their lives back through the arts, through music and through painting and all this. He's able to break down barriers where these kids start coming out of the shell. The pain starts going away, and the results have been phenomenal. I mean, kids, they're doctors and they're lawyers, and have great professions, and then they take this. They help other kids too. He's helped thousands of kids. But mostly 17 to 25. That's the age range. That's the majority of homeless kids out there. But if people go to doorsofchange.org, Doors of Change, they will read all about the organization. And what's important is I want people to read it because Jeffrey will help you set up a chapter in your city. So all the success that he's had in San Diego can now echo out to the whole country. So kids on the street can be helped in every city.
Doors of Change. Doorsofchange.org. And I looked at the site this morning, and the success stories they're overwhelming because you recognize what's possible, but we're talking about people who through absolutely no fault of their own are in this situation. Yes.
And it's a very, they've been very beat up in their life, and to be able to, with patience and love and understanding, slowly, they reveal themselves. They reveal themselves to the point where they love themselves, and they actually get inspired to, become whole again.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. We're talking about, like you said, the age range is 17 to 25, and for a lot of these younger people, they've never had anybody offer them support or encouragement. They've never had anybody acknowledge where they might have a talent or a skill. And so as soon as they are given just the most basic level of support, they're able to flourish in a pretty astonishing way.
Yeah, and so many wonderful people. I mean, Elton John and Billy Joel, all these the Stones, they've all donated. They've all donated to the organization, the signed guitars, all sorts of memorabilia. I mean, it's just amazing who's helped out there. But even more importantly, a Doors of Change chapter comes to your city.
Doors of Change.
It's great to have it in San Diego, but this needs to go all over the country.
It certainly does. Doorsofchange.org, again, is that website. Anson Williams, it's truly a pleasure to chat with you. I got to go back, though, one last thing, because you just dropped a few big names. Probably sometime within the last year, I saw on somebody just posted a photo of the Happy Days cast with John Lennon and his son Julian. Apparently, they stopped by the set one day. I imagine you remember the day a Beatle showed up?
Kinda, yeah. he and Julian.
Yeah.
Surprised us. No idea. And And then he spent hours with us. And just the nicest guy. And of course, we're professionals. We don't ask for anything. The crew's getting John Lennon doodles, signed. They probably bought houses with it. We didn't. No, not us.
Yeah, right.
No, we're professionals.
Yeah.
But a photographer did run down from the PR office and took that picture. But what's really interesting, years later, a decade later, I'm at Sirius Radio New York, and doing interviews, and waiting in the lobby, and there was this kind of nice gentleman, and they were talking to him about photographs. I thought he was a famous photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm minding my own business, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, would you mind if we take a selfie? I go, oh, not at all. He goes, we've met before. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm Julian Lennon. I was with my dad on your set. He said, and he had that same picture on his desk. And it was one of the greatest days of his life, being with his father on that set that day.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
I have that picture too, like 40 years later.
That's really, really great. And then finally, where were you in the batting order on the Happy Days softball team? Tell me you were hitting cleanup. Come on.
Well, I mean, I think I was like third up.
Okay, all right.
We were good. The best player was Donnie. Donnie could professional. He's like unbelievable.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's unbelievable. And Ron, amazing ball player too.
Wow.
And Henry didn't really play baseball, but he learned to pitch, and he learned to pitch really well. So
fair
yeah,
enough.
and I used to, I was in Little League and all that through the years. So, and Gary Marshall he's a sports nut, and so we had a hell of a team. We very rarely lost.
I'll tell you what, I mean, you're just, for anybody of my generation listening to this right now, we're just like, oh, and you guys got to go play softball all around the world and we're really good too. Okay, great. I mean, it's just, what a dream gig and what a great run it's been, 50 years.
It's unbelievable. We played in every major stadium in the country.
That's awesome.
Yankee Stadium, Brewers, Dodger Stadium, and we do these pre-games. We go against a professional football team or local celebrity, whatever. But we're hanging. I mean, we're there in right there in the stadium, in the locker rooms.
Yeah, sure.
Geez, man, and then we played USO all over the world.
Yeah,
we're in Okinawa playing, looking at the China Sea, playing against the Marines.
Absolutely incredible. Anson, it's a pleasure to chat with you. Doorsofchange.org, the Concert of Hope this summer, July 27th. Anson will be appearing. He'll be hosting the event. Casey and the Sunshine Band, the headliners. Again, doorsofchange.org. Thank you, sir. It is an absolute pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. See ya. 60 to 65 million people a week are watching, and you had to watch it live. Not like, this is not now when you can record it or stream it at your leisure. That means a fourth of the country made damn sure on Monday night at 8 Eastern to be home.
Yeah.
That's
around.
Unbelievable how big that was.
There is an A show these days. Now, of course, there's a million more, and I'm probably being literal. There are a million more things on, but for something to grab a 60 million audience, it's got to be a Super Bowl.
It's the only thing is live football that comes close.
Yeah, right, exactly. And Doors of Change, man. I'm getting a little choked up listening. You talk about one hell of a slam dunk, no-brainer charity. If this isn't in Minnesota by the end of this day, I would be shocked. I predict Doors of Change coming to Minnesota very, very soon. I also predict a comedian in our future, Chris Porter at Acme Comedy Company. We're just damn glad he's coming in because normally these comedians get out of bed early, come on into the radio station to sell some tickets. He has very few tickets. In fact, only one show this weekend at Acme you can get tickets to. Chris Porter joins us here about 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Chris Porter is at Acme Comedy. He's been there Wednesday night, Thursday night. He'll be there tonight. He'll be there tomorrow night. And pretty much every show except for one of the shows on Saturday has sold out. He's going to be with us in about 20 minutes. He's a very, very funny gentleman. And the success of this run is certainly proof of that. I've known Chris for 15, 16 years or so, and I always look forward to catching up with him. Great guy and a very funny comedian. We just heard Dream On by Aerosmith. I think I told this story the other day of Steven Tyler and the rest of Aerosmith were Columbia Records signed them to a record deal, and then they all moved into a house together to write songs to get songs ready for their first album. And so this is a flop house. It's not nice. They don't have a dime to their name, but they're all crashing together in a house. And there was a vacant lot next door, and Steven Tyler saw a bag, like a small suitcase, in that vacant lot. And it was full of cash. He just found a bag of money and immediately went to a music store and bought a keyboard, which he brought back to the band house and sat down and wrote Dream On. He was trying to write it on guitar and couldn't make sense of it, but he's like, I need a keyboard, found money, bought a keyboard, wrote the song Dream On that keyboard. Wow. And a few days after all that happened, there was a knock on the door, and it was a couple of low-level gangsters looking and asking if anybody had found a bag of cash. And the other guys in the band, who didn't ask Steven anything about where'd the keyboard come from, and he had never told them, they were very honestly saying, I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't find any money. And Steven just kept his mouth shut, and they went on their way. And waited. He didn't tell the other guys in the band for a long time. That's where the money came from. And I think of that story because just because it's funny and it reminds me. I was driving a car for a year of my life that didn't have an updated tag, and I also had never insured this vehicle. This is like fall of '88 through the fall of '89. I had an old Dodge Dart. Some guy just literally gave it to me to just get it off his hands. And I never insured it, didn't update the tag. And for a year, I drove this car without incident. And then it finally happened where I got pulled over because the cops saw that the tag was out, that hadn't updated my tag. I get pulled over. It's me and three guys in my band, and the cop comes up and he says, license and registration? I said, and proof of insurance? I said, sure. Give him my license, and I looked at the singer in my band, Chris, who's sitting in the passenger seat. I said, dude, open the glove compartment. The insurance and there's insurance and the registration just right there. And he goes, okay, and he opens it up, and I had never opened the glove compartment, and it was full of papers and envelopes and documents and like rolled up magazines. You couldn't have put one more piece of paper in there. It was like somebody had stuffed it as if to be as a joke. It was so full of crap. And I'm like, oh man. And he goes, what? I go, it's just pull that, just get some of that stuff out of the way. It's right there. And he goes, okay. And he's legitimately looking for it. And the whole time, of course, I know it's not there. I know that I'm making this up. But because he didn't know, he was very convinced. Dude, I don't see it. I'm like, come on, man. And the whole time the cop is like, do you have insurance for this car? I'm like, yeah, I just got it. I just got the car. I just got it insured. And he said, who's your insurance with? And I literally went, all State Farm. I couldn't remember. I combined. It's one of those. I don't know. I mean, my boss at work just hooked me up. And I'm like, I was doing good until then. And the guy handed me a ticket, and it was. He said, you gotta get a new tag. You got to get insurance, or you're gonna have to go pay a fine. And then by the time I went to court, I was like, the car had stopped running, so I was like, screw it, I just got to pay for this. It was like $289 at a time when that was all the money on earth. Right. But I had been driving the car for a year, so I was like, that's a bargain. I just got a car for a year for under $300. That's how I justified it.
Yeah, that's good. That works, yeah.
But if that was like a severed hand in the glove compartment, you're like, oh, what's that?
I thought maybe there might be a piece in there. I thought you were going to say it was shoved and packed full of pot. But, of course, no one would have given you a car with a glove box full of pot or something valuable.
The funny thing is, I've told that story before, and I've thought about it, and it's never occurred to me that it could have been something like that, like a gun. Oh, yeah. Like, what if it was a gun where it was, like, wrapped in duct tape, like, to avoid, total black market handgun?
Yeah, right.
Steel, hollow point bullets. I swear to you, officer, I've never seen this before in my life. That would have been bad. That would have been real bad. And that car, by the way, you can hear that Dodge Dart on the Black Crowes' debut album, Shake Your Moneymaker. Before a song called Thick and Thin, you hear that car slamming into a giant dumpster in the parking lot. The engine revs, the brakes, the squeal, and bang. We didn't use a sound effect. We literally put a microphone out in the parking lot, and I ran my car into a dumpster 5 or 6 times till we got the perfect take.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, those were good times.
That's committed to your craft.
It
and
really
just
is.
wanting to have some fun with the Dodge Dart out in the lot.
Well, it's a robin egg blue, baby blue, softest blue Dodge Dart you ever saw. The white vinyl roof that was peeling. You had to put the car in neutral for it to start. If it was in park, it wouldn't turn over. But you slid the thing in neutral and it would turn on. It was an experience. What are you going to do? Those are the old days, back when people used to just give people cars. It never even occurred to me like how bad that could have gone with the glove compartment. Literally, now I'm retroactively horrified that I said open that glove compartment without having done it myself in the case of a year. Whoo, baby. I saw the other day I had someone texted me or I got an auto reply, and in the midst of an auto reply, there was an acronym that I literally had to Google. And so I want to know if anybody knows this. Candace, you're young and you've got your thumb on the pulse. If somebody says AFK, do you have any idea what that means?
AFK.
AFK.
Let's quiz Candace.
I don't.
AFK stands for away from keyboard.
I was really hoping for asphalt kills or something.
Yeah, it's used to indicate someone is temporarily stepping away from their computer or device.
That doesn't make any sense.
Away from keyboard.
No one has keyboards anymore. No one chats with keyboards. It's not
You have a keyboard on your phone.
It's not a keyboard.
Wow. What do you call it?
A phone. I would say away from
what do you
my
call
phone.
the keypad? What do you?
A keypad.
It's keypad, not a board.
There's your answer.
It's not a pad. It's not a board. It's a
dumb.
pad.
I mean,
Kids.
I'm a
Hand me
90s
the yoga
kid.
board.
So we used to have this away status all the time when we had AIM and stuff. But this is too old school for me.
When you had what? AIM?
AIM, yeah, AOL, Instant Messenger.
Oh, right.
And I would always put like a really depressing lyric as my away status, like from Green Day or something.
Right.
American Idiot.
AIM. I forgot all about AIM.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
American Indian movement when I was growing up, they were blasting it out with the feds out there in South Dakota, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Russell Means
what about this one, Candace? Do you know what IDEK means?
IDEK. I don't even know.
That's right.
You walked through it. Good.
Bingo. That's exactly right. I don't even know.
I don't even know right now.
Why would you put the even in there if you didn't say it like this? I don't even know. PAP, not followed by the word smear. But PAP. Party at Pam's.
Yeah, party at Pam's.
No, it is post a picture. Who
dumb?
Never heard. Yeah, that's not.
Why would you send? Oh, I see. Send me a picture. Someone's like,
post a picture.
I've got this wart on my. Yeah, post a picture.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
How about this? OOTD.
Oh, outfit of the day.
Wow. Yeah, never seen that one. OOTD. If I saw it, I'd just think, ooh, touchdown.
Ooh, tacos.
Yeah, exactly. It's Taco Tuesday.
Despite what I look like when I come into work, I usually have a nice outfit of the day after
Do you really?
work.
In mind.
Yeah. So what you're telling us, Candace, is the days that you do show up looking like $1 million, you're just continuing from the night before.
Yeah, sure.
It was yesterday's outfit of the day. Yesterday's outfit of the day is this morning's. Well, you look good, Candace. How about this? LOFPD. LOFPD.
Laugh.
Laugh.
Lots of.
Don't say it.
Lots.
Those F's are so tempting.
I know FP. You know where I'm going with that, but I'm not going to say it.
Laugh out. No.
No, sorry. Look out for prairie dogs.
What?
Can't believe you
That's
didn't know
actually
that.
what I was going to say. We can say prairie dogs on the air. We just can't talk about prairie dogging.
No, God, no. Those bastards are insatiable.
Did very well.
That's pretty good. The rest of them, I think, are pretty. Everybody knows FOMO, fear of missing out, GOAT, greatest of all time. All these. How about this? TBR. Never heard that one.
TBR.
To be.
Right.
To be rude. It says. What? That's weird. Why would you post? Why would you text someone something and then? I guess that's when you say like, no, actually, I think that sweater looks horrible on you. TBR. It's like, to be honest, I get, but TBR is a little weird. Huh. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Hey, we were talking about concerts earlier in the day. My first concert was Heart. Zepp, your first concert? Remind me.
Loverboy and Joan Jett.
Right. Tony, Doobie Brothers and Foghat.
Doobie Brothers and Foghat, correct.
And Candace, it was first concert. Avril Lavigne. Skater boy. But we've got a caller right now that I want to get a quick word in from. I think he's going to trump everybody. Remind me of who is on the phone, Candace. Is it
right.
Dave?
Dave from Andover.
Dave, thank you for waiting, sir. Lay it on us.
Hey, first I just, tell you how much I enjoy having you in the Twin Cities and being on the radio. You kind of remind me of KQ from back in the old days. I'm 75 years old. I was listening when Nancy Rosen was working there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, so
sure.
I've been
the Nixon administration.
A loyal KQ fan
right
every morning.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, like I said, I'm 75 years old. The first concert I ever saw was the Beatles out in Bloomington in 1965. One of the biggest concerts that I ever went to, before they really started getting giant. This was back in about 1975, down in New Orleans when the Superdome was new.
Yeah.
It was the Charlie Daniels Band, Marshall Tucker Band, and the Allman Brothers.
There was no shortage of bourbon getting swirled down on that good day.
It was Labor Day weekend, and my brother had just moved down to Texas.
Man.
And he and a few other guys and myself drove over from the Galveston area over to New Orleans for the week. We spent the weekend over there, and the concert was on Monday. And I'll tell you, there was some stuff going on.
Oh, you were limping into that concert on Monday if you'd had the weekend in New Orleans already.
Yeah, I think I must have been approached by probably at least 3 undercover narcotics officers.
Sure. Undercover narcotics officers in New Orleans are just really there to tell you where you can get better stuff. Hey, Dave, thanks for waiting and thanks for the call. We got to hop, but man, the Beatles in 1965, you win for the day. Congratulations.
Go, Dave.
By the way, if somebody says to you, hey, man, do you want to go to New Orleans to see Charlie Daniels Band, Marshall Tucker Band, and the Allman Brothers Band? That's the same thing as saying, do you want to go to New Orleans and get our asses kicked? Because you're just going to get into something. My God, what a collection of misfits that concert was.
Wow.
Great music and no shortage of hooch. Just flying. Everybody losing their minds. That sounds like a really, really good day to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of hooch, I think finally we will have our comedian Chris Porter in. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is February the 23rd, Friday. And now in studio joining us, a very funny man who happens to be a good buddy of mine. Chris Porter has been at Acme the last few nights. He's there tonight and tomorrow night. Chris, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I have to start here. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention you as a lifelong San Francisco 49ers fan. Sorry about that Super Bowl. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. You're from Kansas City.
That's
so you're
right.
a jerk. And go ahead and gloat for a minute.
I'm
for all
a villain, and everyone hates me,
Yeah.
and I'm completely okay with that.
And now you're clearly a Swiftie.
Very much so.
Yes.
I took my Steve DeBerg jersey, and I ripped off the name tag, and I put Swiftie on there.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. No, I've earned these championships.
You certainly have. A long-suffering Chiefs fan.
Oh, yeah. This isn't a bandwagon thing.
No.
I remember a few years ago watching Kelsey get hurt and he walked up the tunnel, and all you saw were the AFC West banners.
Yeah.
And I could tell you every way we messed up those playoffs.
Yeah, right, of course.
I was like, oh, that's when Gerbach didn't show up.
Yep.
That's when Lynn Elliott missed 3 kicks.
Yeah.
That's when Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown to himself.
Yep. Remember it well.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, man, you guys can hate us all you want to.
Long time coming. One of these days, Vikings fans will join you in Valhalla for football glory. Hadn't happened yet.
Hey, that's never happened. No, because ever.
0 for 4.
0 for 4.
Yeah.
That's right. We beat them in 4.
Yeah, that's right. You did. Len Dawson. Mm-hmm. Hitting those lung darts at halftime.
And a Coke.
And a Coke.
Yeah. Just being super healthy.
You have been at Acme the last 2 nights. You're there tonight and tomorrow night. The only show with any tickets remaining is tonight at 9:30. So this has been a great run.
Yeah, no, Minneapolis is, I've been coming here since I was a kid. So they've always been very supportive.
Yeah.
And I love it here.
It's fantastic.
Acme's, I don't know if Minneapolis knows this, and I'm not blowing smoke, but they're like one of the premier clubs in the country. Yeah.
No, very much so. I was aware of that before I moved here. And like as much as I'm peripherally paying attention to the back, I like comedy, but I don't know venues and all that. But I always knew what Acme was.
Oh, for sure. And when people find out I'm in Acme, I have people in Los Angeles going, "Hey, man, can you take me?"
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
Because Minneapolis is such a great scene.
Yep.
They have no need for outside comics. And the guys that are open for me today or this weekend are amazing.
Oh, well, great. That's awesome. Our mutual friend Dean Delray is going there for the first time next month. He'll be at Acme.
Yeah. No, he was great. I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's really looking forward. And talk about a funny dude.
Yeah, we talked to him a couple days ago on the show. It was great. So and it's it's a big step. I mean, when you get that first weekend run there, it's a real marker.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely one of the clubs where you're like, when you find out you get the gig, you're like jumping around your apartment, like we're going to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
It's in February, but you got to do what you got to do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So the last couple nights were great then.
Oh yeah, no, the staff has been great. We had a drunk lady last night. We had to kick out.
Candace.
What?
No, not Candace. Sorry.
It's going to be a wild weekend. Tip your servers. You're going.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the staff has been great.
Wait, was she heckling?
She was talking loudly to her husband.
Oh, not good.
And like to a point where like tables around her were.
Sure, it's terrible.
Did the husband stay? Hey, and the bad part was, I go, "Hey, can you just whisper?" And she, of course, got upset. Oh. And then I go, "Well, you're just upsetting the people around you." And she looked at the guy next to her and goes, "Am I bothering you?" And the guy got scared. He goes, "No, I'm fine." And I was like, "You little
Minnesota nice."
I was like, as soon as she left, I was like, "Thanks for selling me out. I'm here trying to back you up."
Yeah,
and you're like,
kidding.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
A cool move. Now, I imagine the husband left with her. It would have been sweet if he would have just stuck around and went, "Finally, someone kicked her out of here."
I've seen that with the woman.
Yeah.
I've seen that where the where we have to kick the boyfriend out,
right.
And the chick's like, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere."
Yeah.
Do people actually still ever try to? Are there any real hecklers left out there?
Oh yeah, it's a dying art.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely people that show up. Happened a lot in Vegas last week.
Oh really?
And it seemed to be female centric.
Wow.
Where like girls would sit up front and they're like, "Okay, now the show's about me."
Oh wow, yeah.
And I think even that show, there was a show in Vegas where before I even got on stage, I was like, "That chick can go."
Oh right.
I was like, she's already been a problem for the first 2 comics.
Sure.
I think the saddest thing, because I've watched this happen too, it's not always, but sometimes it's a chick or a guy who just loves you the whole show, just clapping at everything, like nodding and just loving you, and then they just make a stupid mistake and then say some stuff and then they ruin everything, and it's really like, it's kind of sad. But.
That does happen. It happens sometimes, but the majority is just some chick going, "No, that's not true." So you have to just be like, "Babe, I'm painting in broad strokes here. If it doesn't apply, just sit that one out."
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody within their right mind would say, "Well, don't go heckle someone who does this for a living."
Yeah.
But that said, have you ever been up there and somebody started in and you had to go like, "It's actually pretty good, man. Well done."
Man, if you get a good one in,
Yeah.
I will give you all the credit in the world.
Right.
But there are a lot of times. But that being said, if you try something and it fails miserably, I'm going to call that out too.
Because you always see, I mean, to his credit, to this day, And I know that these are not almost, for the most part, these are not set up. Like Dave Grohl at a Foo Fighters gig will occasionally, someone will be like, I'm dying to play with you. And he'll say, come on up.
Yeah.
And he'll just put a guitar on a kid. And it's like, you better be good, man. And they're almost always pretty darn good.
They're always, and that's a thing. That's a kid thing.
Yeah.
Because I could practice a song all the time, and if my favorite band called me up to do it, I would be like, I forgot how to do this.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know what this guitar does.
Yeah, right.
And
you were saying that as a guy who plays guitar and sings and writes and does the whole thing.
But well, you remember when I was traveling around with you guys, and Rich called me up at sound check to sing a song, and I completely froze. And I looked back at you, and you were like, sing, and I was like, I don't know the words. I knew the words till I got up here.
Yeah. You've only heard this song 940,000 times. So you, as a kid in Kansas City, we were talking earlier on the show today about concerts, first concerts, worst concerts. A guy just called in who saw the Beatles here in 1965. Your first concert, what was it?
Lyle Lovett, Joshua Judge's Ruth Tour. My parents took me.
But that's a good show.
That's a good show. And I saw Lyle Lovett last year, and top 5 shows I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Zach Myers and I from Zach Myers from Shinedown and I do this Campfire Astronauts project where we sit down and we tell stories and sing songs and do stand-up.
Okay.
And I texted Zach in the middle of the Lyle Lovett concert. I was like, this guy does what we're doing 1,000 times better than we'll ever do it.
Right.
Because he's just up there. Not to mention his band. I mean, Leland Sklar and Russ Kunkel are his rhythm section.
It's ridiculous.
But, one of the best concerts. First real concert I saw was Cracker, Gin Blossom, Spin Doctors.
Boy, stamp the 90s on your forehead with that one. Oh, my God.
And I remember that it was the Spin Doctors' second album.
Yeah.
And the Gin Blossoms blew them out. Like, the Gin Blossoms blew them out of the water so bad that the lead singer of Spin Doctors, because unbeknownst to a lot of us, Spin Doctors were a jam band.
Yeah, right.
And we didn't know that till we got there, and now they're doing a 14-minute version of Kryptonite, and or whatever it's called, Two Princes. And so, like, the guy, while they're jamming, is out doing, like, gymnastics on the railings and stuff,
right.
And he's literally getting trampled by people leaving. Like, droves of people just walking out the door. Worst concert I've ever been to, but we went into it knowing, like, that's what we were going for, was Corey Feldman.
You've seen Corey Feldman?
Twice.
Yes. Every now and again, something will pop up on an Instagram feed of him performing, and I watch it every time in absolute disbelief and awe.
Well, you remember when he broke the internet on the Today Show?
Yeah, very, very clearly.
So
we
were
with
obsessed.
The Dancing Angels.
With the Dancing Angels.
Unbelievable.
We were obsessed. So then he announces a warm-up tour. And I'm like, he's already announcing that he's already saying this tour is not ready.
Yeah, right.
Because this is the warm-up.
It's the warm-up.
And we went to show 1 of the warm-up tour, and it was 90 minutes of, I can't believe this is happening. Like, there were costume changes.
Amazing.
The band was hired models. At one point, he goes, this is our bass player. She doesn't play bass. She plays guitar, but I asked her to play bass, and so she said yes. And so then they go into Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
Right, okay, kind of. So there's a bass line there.
There's a pretty specific bass line that everyone's pretty familiar with.
Yeah, right. Sure.
And so he goes, you're up. And she literally puts her head down like, this isn't going to go well.
No.
And that was and at one point he played drums.
Nice.
And he was so bad that the band just kind of looked at him like, we don't know where you are.
Yeah, of course.
And but yeah, it was there was a video at one point that was a little too Hitlery.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much Hitler stuff that you were like, oh, there's Hitler. Oh, there's Hitler again.
Yeah,
man, this is a lot of Hitler.
Yeah, sure.
And
it's not one of those fine lines. It's a pretty thick line.
It's a pretty thick line.
You can see it coming.
You're like, hey, man, we get it. You're making a statement that people are bad, but there were other bad people other than this guy.
Oh my God, that's insane.
But yeah, no, that was at the. It was one of the most epic things. And then I saw him at the end of the warm up tour, and it had not gotten any better.
Wow. That's the greatest show I ever saw, of which I say there's one concert and then there's all the other concerts. And the greatest one was here in Minneapolis in '94 during the NBA All-Star Weekend. It was Prince at Paisley Park.
Oh wow!
And he also played the drums, but he's real good.
Yeah, he's very good.
He played everything on that stage, and then finished the night with a 4 a.m. a cappella gospel set with 4 other singers.
No.
Oh, it was like and I'm watching the gig. I'm as close as you are to me from Prince. And next to me is Magic Johnson, and on the other side is Dominique Wilkins. It was the NBA All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
Dr. J, all the current players, Dr. J's there. I was just, and I'm like, this is my brain on drugs, exploding and having, it was the greatest night of my life.
Prince was number 2. I saw him at the Forum during the 40 nights at the Forum.
40? Think about that. Let's do 40-night run at the Forum.
Yeah, I think he did it. I think he saved the Forum.
Yeah.
I think that's what those concerts were for. Yeah.
Right.
But not to blow smoke, but I was at Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes opening night of the tour.
Yeah.
And that's still...
Of the first in New York, that one, or the next summer in Chicago?
The next summer in Chicago.
Yeah.
The one you did like 6 weeks and then we're done.
Yeah, that was that tour. The record is from the first dates in '99, but when we went back the next summer, we actually rehearsed a lot. I mean, it was better played. It sounded better. It was more groove than frantic punk rock levels of enthusiasm like at first.
Oh yeah, no, we went. I'll tell you what, we went in going, this is going to be the greatest concert of our entire lives, and we left going, it was the greatest concert.
Good.
Because you guys did like a real the best version of Bad Luck Blue Eyes I'd ever heard.
Oh, really?
Before or since. And it was just super.
See, I don't even remember the Crows songs. I was just all about the Zeppelin songs. I know we did some, but I don't remember we even did that with Jimmy.
Oh yeah, no, it was, and that's what was great was because like you weren't there for the Crow songs, and then when they came on, you were like, yeah.
All right, hey, good for us. All right, I'll take it. Chris Porter's at Acme tonight. The 7:00 show is sold out. There are a few tickets, and when I say few, I mean hurry, for 9:30. Tomorrow night, you're out of luck. Both shows sold out. And again, that's just an awesome thing. Just as a friend, but also as a fan, I love seeing that these shows are just blasted out like that. And everything you're doing, you still very much have an ascendant track. I mean, it seems like it's just growing and growing and growing, which is what we all hope for.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. No, we're trying. You just try. The cool thing about the internet is, despite all the hate and vitriol that it produces,
of course,
is that you kind of have control over your own success as an entertainer.
Yeah.
So, it's turned into a job. That's for sure.
Sure it does.
Every night I record my sets and I have to come home and take little clips out so that my social media girl can post them.
Yeah.
So that I can get more famous.
Of course.
And, it's.
Well, I said earlier, the dream, everybody's rock and roll fantasy, but there's a point in time when you realize, well, if we want this to continue, we better realize it's a job now.
Yeah.
It's no longer a dream once it's his dream job, but it's still a job.
Oh, I was talking to Jelly Roll the other day, and, talk about a guy who just launched into the stratosphere.
Yeah, he did.
And he was like, I have to get up at 6 a.m. every day now.
That's right.
He was like, the more successful you get, the more stuff you have to do.
The part they tell you that you don't think is true is if you think it's hard to get there, try staying there.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I mean, that's why, the Stones, they're 83. They don't need $1, but they're just working.
Well, it's and McCartney, it's like I saw him summer before last. He did 2 hours and 50 minutes the week he turned 80. And he doesn't, and he's singing every song. And it's just like, because it's like, you want this? Come take it off my head. This crown is well earned.
Watching Mick run up and down that catwalk at 82 years old, and then their security was like, he'll go party till 5 a.m.
Yeah. That's funny. We saw the Stones in 21 as well. And there is a point in time in your own life when you're getting to an age when you are more impressed with Mick than you've ever been. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. He doesn't stop. And I can't do one song at that pace. And he just did 2.5 hours. It's phenomenal.
Like I couldn't run down that catwalk once.
No, not a chance.
And then sing.
It's pretty crazy.
And then,
like I said, well earned. The crown's on those guys' heads.
Yes, sir.
Who's a young comedian that you've seen, and if not young, at least new or relatively unknown, that you would say, I'm going to put the house that in 5 years everyone will know this person?
Oh, man. And man, if I had my Instagram, I could be able to tell you.
Yeah.
There's a girl, Leslie Lau, that's really blowing up. She's very funny and very unique in her style. Mm-hmm. And then
we were talking with Dean the other day about the community because he's fascinating to me because he started it in his mid-40s. You know, he shifted gears
and tried to be a rock star.
Yeah, for
years
25 years. Yeah. But he met a supportive community, and so you're from Kansas City. How old were you when you went to LA? When you moved to LA?
I was 20. I was 05, so I was 26.
Okay, and so how long was it before you felt like, oh, I've got some people here. I've got some. You were a part of a comedy community. You felt like you were in with a maybe not a gang, but you knew enough people to feel like, hey, I'm actually a part of this. Because anybody that goes to L.A., and that's every single day, every day of the year, someone's going to L.A. to try to make it in some realm of entertainment. There's a while where you got to feel a little on your own.
Yeah, no, the first couple months was tough. Like you because you don't know any of the bookers, so you like show up to shows and have to like be the guy. You're like, I'm a comedian.
Yeah,
how do I do this?
Yeah.
And but man, as far as feeling comfortable, and this is probably my own personal BS that I deal with, but like I still don't really feel comfortable at the Comedy Store.
Really?
Yeah, like I've been past there for 11 years. My name's on the building, and I still walk in and have huge imposter syndrome.
Well, that's good fuel.
Yeah, that is good fuel.
You know?
But the improv, on the other hand, is like a second home to me for whatever reason. I don't.
Were there people that even if you weren't aware of it at the time, you can look back and go, oh, this was clearly a mentor early on, like a comic that somebody might know the name. I'm just always curious about who looks at it because I asked you about a young comedian. I'm always curious as it's the people who look back and go, yeah, let me help you out here, and who do you look at and say, I see how they're doing it, and that makes sense to me, all that.
A comic actually out of Minneapolis by the name of KP Anderson. It was the first guy that, like, during Last Comic Standing, he came up to me and he said, because we had started the tour, and he goes, "You're going on tour and doing all new material, aren't you?" And then everyone else is doing the same old stuff. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I had a feeling. And he just kind of took me under his wing and kind of helped me with the LA side of things.
Got it. But hugely important.
Yeah. Bill Burr was very helpful to me early on. He
What happened to him? Haven't seen his name for years.
Just check your local arena schedule and you'll find him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was always very nice to me, still is. I saw him at a Steven Tyler event the other night, and he was very like, "Hey, man, how you doing?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's about it.
That's
really. Bobby Slayton.
Sure.
Bobby Slayton is helped me get signed with my manager.
Wow.
Because I'd moved into town, and they're like, "Well, we need to see you perform." And I called Bobby, and I was like, "Can I open for you?" And he was like, "I wouldn't do it for anybody else but you."
Oh, right.
And I was like, "Well, thanks, man."
Yeah, no kidding.
And so he was.
Yeah, I look back for as in my band's run, musicians. It happens. Didn't really happen with us. Where somebody says, "Hey, let me help you," but what we took was there were people who would say, "Hey, just keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah.
And when you hear that from someone you admire, that's better than anything on the planet. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We had a gig early on in we opened for Alex Chilton, and he poked his head in our dressing room and said, "Y'all got a good little band. You can keep it up." And I mean, that bought us a year.
Wow. I remember Attell driving him home. We were both hammered.
Yeah.
And I dropped him off at the hotel, or he was just complaining. He was like, "I don't know what it is, but you got it." And
pretty strong.
I was like, "Well, then I'm quitting my job."
Yeah, right. It's amazing.
We're
That's
done
awesome.
Here. Yeah.
Chris Porter's at Acme. 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow. The late show tonight, there are very few tickets remaining. If you don't have tickets to any of the other shows, good luck. Follow him on Instagram. What is that Instagram handle?
I am Chris Porter.
It's all spelled the way it's supposed to be spelled, too.
Yes, sir.
You don't go KRIS or
no,
any of
I'm
that
not
nonsense.
Some Nordic dweeb.
You're in Minnesota. Be cool. Well, stick around. It's time for it's first of all, always a pleasure, brother.
Thank you, brother. Always good to see you.
So what's up? We've got to bring in Gorman.
What happened to Gorman?
He's right here.
Yeah, he's right here.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hey! what's up?
On this day, February 23rd, 1991, the North Carolina Tar Heels became the first men's basketball program to win 1,500 games. And it was a big deal. And I remember when it happened because I used to care about college basketball. I no longer do. They are now third on the all-time win list. Do you want to take a guess at who's number one? All-time wins.
Kentucky is number 1. KU is number 2.
Gee, who's the Jayhawk fan in the room?
KU was number 1, and then we had some wins vacated due to some Adidas stuff.
Okay, see? I knew you would know. Rock chalk. Did we ever figure out what the hell that means? Does it matter?
Who
cares?
I don't know.
But you still follow college basketball as ardently as you did, or is it waned a little bit?
I was at the KU Oklahoma game at Allen Fieldhouse in January.
I wish I still cared.
It is my favorite sport.
It used to be mine, and it's just that you don't get to know the players as long. Yeah. They all leave. Anyway, that's a me thing, I guess. What are you going to do?
Go ahead.
No, please.
With the NIL, I think they're going to stick around a little longer.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope that is. I hope that's the case.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.